I'll just like it. I'll just like it.
Poznan, Poland. This university city of 500,000 people is one of the most important cultural centers of the country. The statues and monuments that dot the city speak to a rich history. The exhibition center here has been transformed into the stage for this spectacular event.
A very warm welcome to all STIHL Timber Sports fans around the world watching this live stream. We are coming to you live for the Polish National Championship. We're going to have 10 athletes competing in 6 different disciplines, and we're going to find out who is the #1 of Poland. And of course, I will be watching very closely all the cutting and all the chopping together with this man, our expert, Troy Mannering. How are you doing, buddy?
Good, thank you. I'm doing well. I'm looking forward to this one. It's been a while since we've been able to do Poland, and we're back again with it. So looking forward to seeing how the Polish athletes strike a blow today.
And if it's again a Dubicki festival that we're going to see, or if somebody new can start in and claim the title.
Well, I mean, it's anybody's guess. The Dubickis are a very strong family of choppers, but we're going to be interesting just to see how it goes, because there's some other very strong guys in the list here, and we'll talk about them a little bit later on. But yeah, I'm looking forward to getting this thing underway.
Absolutely, and it's not only you and me, Troy, but of course our field reporters, Pia and Christoph. They are live in Poznan, and hopefully they can hear us now. How are you guys doing? Well, that's Pia and Christoph. Nice to see you guys. Not so nice not being able to hear them yet.
Yeah, that's a bit of a bummer, hey? I mean,
but that's live. Come on. No,
yeah.
We'll be back with them, and hopefully they're going to do everything that we can't do because we're here in the studio in Munich. But of course, they are live in Poznan, and hopefully they will get some interviews done, and they will show us some behind-the-scenes stuff. So very much looking forward to that.
Absolutely.
Let's go for it. Let's take a look at the 10 athletes competing today.
All right, well, our first guy there, Marcin Darga, he is a beast. 32 years old, 4th at the Polish Championships last 2 years, so he's pretty consistent there. He got 7th at the European Trophy, so you know that he's an up-and-comer, and you mentioned earlier on, is there going to be anybody to take down the Dubickis? Well, maybe it's this guy here.
110 Ks.
Yeah, he's
heavy.
Boy, he's all arms and upper body, you know. Didn't miss a leg day either. But the legend, there's Arkadiusz Drozdek, 10-time Polish champion. He's been around the block, I'll tell you that much. You know, to look at him, he almost looks like he could be, I don't know, a fashion model in Poland. He is a handsome dude and gets out there and just absolutely blows away the blocks of wood. So definitely one of those guys. He's competed on the international level a lot as well. Speaking of the Dubickis, Kamil Dubicki, 26 years old, one of the youngest competitors in this pro level. He's the youngest of the 3 Dubicki brothers as well, so keep an eye on him.
He was still a rookie last year.
He got third at the International Rookie Cup last year, and he is the rookie Polish champion also from last year. So
a man to watch.
He's definitely a man to watch. And then we see the other Dubicki that's competing today, Marcin Dubicki, 42 years old, lacking a little bit of that international experience, but he got fifth at the Polish champs last year. So he's another guy to keep an eye out for, because you know the Dubicki brothers are going to be working together to get the best possible scores. Another Martian in the mix here, Marcin Juskowski. I'm going to murder a bunch of these names today, I promise you. 42 years old, super consistent performer. Get this, 2010, 2011, 2012, 2014, 2015, second all of those years
wow.
at the Polish Championships. So there's a guy that is got a stable level of performance.
And I'm sure he wants gold. He doesn't always want to get silver. This man is ready for gold.
Maybe he likes being the bridesmaid.
No, I'm not sure. Let's ask him later on.
All right. Another guy with a little bit of international charisma here, Christian Kaczmarek. 33 years old, national champion 2012, 2013, ninth at the individual world championships in 2013. So he does have that skill level, but it's been a while since he's been in the international competition. Could this be the day where he steps back into that boat? We'll find out as this competition goes on. Then we have Tomasz Kowal, another of the big boys, 187, 110 kilograms, 36 years old. His best results was 7th at the Polish Championships in 2018. So you know for sure he's going to be looking to step that up and perhaps create another benchmark for himself in this competition here today. And also, you know, the result for these guys is very important, because it's a possible qualification for the World Championships and the European Championships down the road. Artur Krupinski, excuse me, 34 years old. He's got some international experience with 11th at the World Championships in 2006, but his best results was, interestingly enough, a 7th at the Spanish Championships in 2011. So, it's a little bit of a strange one for a Polish guy, but hey, he'll take the points, right?
Why not? Yeah.
And then we have Krzysztof Majewski, 45. He was a runner-up at the national championships in 2007, second place. So, you can see silver medalist, Polish championships, 2007. He's had 14 appearances in the Polish championships. And
you know his weight, Troy?
A lot of international experience. Let's put it that way. So we'll see how he does. And as I mentioned, you know, earlier on, 26 years young Kamil Dubicki is the youngest competitor at the pro level for this Polish national championship. So it's an interesting thing when you see the guys that are really seasoned athletes in timber sports. They're almost always above the 30-year-old mark or higher. So, and for such a demanding sport, normally you would think young guys, strong, big boys, but no, it's these guys that have had seasoning and time and practice and training to really get those minute skills that are necessary. And we'll talk about those things as the competition goes on, but it's those little bits and pieces that really make the difference for the competition for these guys. So that age is kind of like being a good wine. You get better with age.
And you like that.
I do like that. It makes me feel good.
And it's great to see both, by the way, 130 kilos for Krzysztof Majewski. This is a heavyweight.
He's
talking about heavyweights. We're still missing out on one more person. And that, of course, is the defending and reigning champion. So let's take a closer look at the man to beat. Bit scary, Troy.
Yeah, I mean, he is a solid man, a solid human being. When you see him on stage, he's an intimidating figure. And as I mentioned, the Dubicki brothers, they're not messing around. So, the defending Polish champion, he's back for it. He wants it again. And it's like any athlete in any sport. Once you've got that one championship medal, belt or ring or whatever under your belt or notch in your bedpost, whatever you want to call it, you desire to have it again. You want to have more. That intention to continue to improve and get better and beat all those other guys is still there. It always is there. It stays there. And, Michał Dubicki, he's going to be coming hard today because he knows he's got a whole list of guys that have skills to pay the bills that are going to be chasing him. So keep a close eye on this competition. It's going to be a fun one, especially knowing that Dubicki's got, his two brothers coming from behind and a whole list of other athletes that are really aching to have that national championship and take the step to the next level.
And Troy, you were talking about skills to pay the bills. I think we've got them now with our field reporters, Pia and Christoph, because it looks like the sound is working. Guys, can you hear and see us?
On site of the Polish Pro Championship 2021 in the beautiful city of Poznan. I'm a new face of STIHL TIMBERSPORTS and I'm really excited about it because I'm a huge fan of timber sports and the atmosphere here is overwhelming. You can literally feel the passion and the tension. The athletes are ready, but they are in focus. We don't want to disturb them anymore. But as you can see behind me, the stands are ready, the springboards are ready, and the judges are ready as well. And my colleague Christopher next to me, I think we're ready too, right?
Sure. Thank you, Pia. So, jesteśmy w Poznaniu, timbersportowej stolicy Polski. Atmosfera tutaj jest naprawdę gorąca. Zawody się jeszcze nie rozpoczęły. Zachęcamy Was do oglądania zawodów STIHL TIMBERSPORTS, zawodów Mistrzostw Polski z TIMBERSPORTS 2021. Now, back to Munich.
Well, thank you, Chris and Pia.
I was going to say, you're going to translate that for us?
yeah. I'll give you the translation later on. You can go onto social media and I'll text it.
There we go.
Yeah, that's a promise, Troy. The competition format, of course, is very important for today. We have 3 rounds where the 10 athletes are going to be competing in 6 different disciplines, and everything you need to know about this format coming up right now. Bam.
The STIHL TIMBERSPORTS individual competition. In the first round, all athletes compete in 3 disciplines: the underhand chop, the stock saw, and the standing block chop. The times achieved will be converted into points upon completion of each discipline. In round 1, a difference of 1 point applies in each discipline, thus the fastest athlete received 12 points and the slowest only 1 point. Any rule infraction will result in a disqualification and the athlete will receive 0 points for that discipline. At the end of the first round, the athletes with the lowest scores are eliminated. Only 8 athletes make it to the second round. In this second round, the remaining athletes compete in the single buck and the springboard for increased scores. With 2 points difference between placings, the fastest athlete now receives 16 points and the slowest receives 2. The 2 athletes with the lowest total points are eliminated at the end of round 2. Only the top 6 reach the third round. In the third round, anything is still possible in the hot saw, as an increased score interval of 3 points applies in this final round. The fastest athlete can score up to 18 points at the hot saw, the slowest only 3 points. The athlete who manages to achieve the highest total score across all 3 rounds is the new champion.
Well, this is how it works, and now it's time to get it on, Troy.
Yep.
All you need to know about the underhand chop, our first discipline, well, here comes what you need to know. So here we have the underhand chop heats that are coming up for you. You're going to see Artur Krupinski take on Marcin Jusowski in the first heat. Then we'll see Tomasz Kowal and Krzysztof Majewski, followed by Marcin Dubicki and Marcin Darga. Kamil Dubicki and Arkadiusz Drozdek will be in heat number 4. And finally, in heat number 5, we'll have Christian Kaczmarek and Michał Dubicki. And what they have to do and what tool they'll be using, well, we'll show you that as well right now.
The axes used in timber sports definitely can't be bought at your local hardware store. Made from special steel, the blade is hand-sanded with an angle of 13 to 16 degrees. It's custom-built and carefully adjusted for each competition. The weight is around 3 kilos and it's about 80 centimeters long. The blade is so sharp that you could shave with it. Underhand chop. In the past, the underhand chop technique was used to split logs. Standing on a horizontally anchored block, the athletes cut through a 32-centimeter log. The block has to be worked from both sides.
All right, so there is our Heat 1 lineup with Artur Krupinski going up against Marcin Jakowski. And I just have to compliment you, Marcus, on your pronunciation of all the guys. It was awesome listening to you the list earlier on. So I'll have to try and emulate your pronunciation a little bit more as we get ready
not even sure if
for
it's
competition
right.
here. All right, timers are reset. Our athletes are on top of the blocks in the underhand chop. Here we go.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Artur Krupinski on the left-hand side of your screen. Marcin Jakowski on the right-hand side of your screen. And a good start by both of them. It looks like Artur Krupinski has a little bit of, no, excuse me, it is going to be Jakowski moving over to the other side of his block, just ahead of Krupinski. Krupinski now on the backside of his as Jakowski's gone the front side of his. These guys started opposite to each other. Not to confuse anybody, but it's a great finish and a final stroke by Krupinski for a time of 28:26. Not far behind, though, is Jakowski with a time of 29:14. Now, these times are unofficial until our judges give the thumbs up, and the timing is adjusted from our competition control center. So there you go, official time 27:93, a quick adjustment there, and a 28:90. Now you'll see the judges come out to the front of the stage and say both cuts are good. They'll give those decisions when nothing untoward has happened. You can see here, these guys are stroking very nicely on those blocks, slabbing out some nice pieces. And what's very important here is that you maintain a good foothold on top of those blocks as you're hitting, and you cannot cut into the footholds with your axe. Now, if that does occur, you will see a disqualification. And there, look at that, just one stroke difference between these two guys here. So a very close race to start our heats off today, and a nice way to start the competition off in Poland. See the stage gets cleaned up very quickly by our stage crew. We talk about this a lot, Marcus, how it's almost like a pit crew in Formula One. They get out there, they've got all the tools they need to make sure that stage is tickety-boo clean.
I could be watching this all day as long as I don't have to do it. So.
Yeah,
it's hard work. It really is hard work.
They got a hard job to do. Okay, next heat coming up, heat number 2. Tomasz Kowal going up against Krzysztof Majewski. And as Marcus pointed out earlier, Krzysztof Majewski, 130.
Tak, mamy dzisiaj, bo tego widzowie nie wiedzą.
70 plus pounds of pure power. So we'll see how he does. We should see him on the right-hand side of your screen. And Tomasz Kowal on the left-hand side. The gentlemen getting themselves ready. You'll see them, all the athletes will come out with 2 axes in hand, and they'll unsheath the axes. One will be set off to the side just in case they feel like something isn't quite right with their competition axe. Then they'll switch quickly, but that takes time that they don't want to spend. You've heard the whistle, and the setup is ready to go, and here we are, getting ready for heat number 2.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
So again, Majewski on the right-hand side, big boy, plenty of power, but does he have too much power? He's gotten that axe stuck in the block twice now, and that is quite draining. To pull the axe out and restart everything, best is to keep that motion going, but those big hits is slabbing out some nice pieces from his block, and Majewski's looking good as he was over to the other side early. Tomasz Kowal also moved over to the other side of his block. Another stick by Majewski, who is going to cut through first. A huge stick by Majewski. That cost him some time. Kowal keeping a nice flow on the other side. Big sticks by Majewski, causing him major problems. So that power that he has cost him this competition. And Kowal gets through in a 38.66 with Majewski 2 seconds back in a 40.77. Wow. Now there is a difference maker right away, Marcus. Plenty of power, but too much power isn't always the answer.
That's what you always tell me, and I'm starting to believe you.
Well, you know, you can go as fast as you want, but if your brakes don't work, it's not going to help you, right?
Does make sense,
and
yeah.
That power that Majewski has, it actually worked against him because he kept getting that axe stuck in the block. So we have good cuts by our head judge there, but Tomasz Kowal with a 42.25 after adjustment. Interesting. He actually got a slower time. Now, I'll have to double check that, what's going on here, because he was faster through the block. And they readjusted the time for Krzysztof Majewski to a 44.6. Interesting. That means our big man with those big axe sticks, what you just saw right there, actually had the faster time. So this is a curious situation for me, because as our camera zoomed in, we didn't see the finished stroke of Tomasz Kowal. And there you see Tomasz Kowal with a readjusted time of 42.25. So interestingly enough, he was slower than Krzysztof Majewski.
But that's the great thing about STIHL Timbersports these days. They've got everything with the new technology covered. You can view the slow motions. You can actually see the perfect timing. So the times that we're getting to see now, obviously, are the ones that have actually been made.
Yeah, and everything does come out of competition control. It's a very important aspect of the sport because these guys have these super high-speed cameras. They keep a really close watch on the starting position of the axe, the first strike into the block. If it's just a millisecond ahead of the start whistle or the start gun, depending on what they're using, then they can say, okay, that's too quick a start, that's a DQ. So everything that happens at this moment is really being closely watched by competition control. And of course, they are in close communication with our on-stage judging crew.
So let's take a look at the next heat. The graphics coming up for the next competitors right now. And of course, Marcin Dubicki against Marcin Darga. That's a deal that we have been waiting for.
Yeah, I mean, the Dubicki boys, they're all very, very strong. And you know they're working together as a trio. But once they get on stage, they're going to be battling against each other. And Marcin Darga, well, as I said off the top of the show, he is a man. I mean, he's just a big, muscly dude. And there you can see Marcin Dubicki right here in front of you, and his personal best is 30.2. Excuse me, there's Marcin Dubicki. No, that's Darga. Well, I'm getting the Marcins mixed up. All right, we've got to start, and look at this. Darga working quick with that axe head. Dubicki getting a little bit of a stick there, but Darga not holding back at all. But it's Dubicki moving over to the other side of his block first. Interesting competition here between these two gentlemen, and it looks like we might have some good times. Oh, a quick stick right there, and maybe one or two more blows for Darga as he gets through in 24.94, and Marcin Dubicki gets through 29.08, as I see on the wall there. His on-camera, or his timing is still running there for our clock, which is interesting, but the official timer is, let's see, Marcin Dubicki 29.08. That is unofficial still until we get the thumbs up from our head judge. And there it is. And you can see on the clock in the background, 28.63 to a 24.62. So we got a couple of personal bests already today. And Marcin Darga with a 24.62. Not his personal best, but he does move into the lead in the underhand chop. And you could see He was just absolutely going at it. One big stick for him there, but it didn't really seem to affect him. And there's that final blow on the far end of the picture with a great time of 24.63. So you can see Marcin Darga is motivated today. All right, our next heat up. Yes, Arkadiusz Drozdek going against Dubicki. So another Dubicki in the middle going up. A Polish legend, Arkadiusz. And here we're going to see that the youngest competitor in our pro field today going up against a 42-year-old man who is in prime shape. Does he have it today? I don't know, Marcus. What do you think? All right, here we go.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Heat number 4 between Kamil Dubicki and Arkadiusz Drozdek. And there we see Kamil Dubicki on the left-hand side of our screen, now switching over quickly to the other side. Arkadiusz Drozdek, he was a little bit gingerly about switching over to the other side, slapping out nicely as he moved over. But Kamil Dubicki, he is just going for it, and it looks like he's got it with a great time. Look at that. That is a personal best right there with a 21.05. And that puts him in the top spot in the underhand chop results so far. Arkadiusz Drozdek, no slouch though, with a 24.14, only 3.14 seconds behind. So just waiting for the final call from our head judge there on stage. But what a great run from Kamil Dubicki. Hey, wow, that was nice. So the fastest time of the day so far, 20.74. That's the time to beat in underhand chop. Let's take a look back at the slow-mo here. There you see Kamil Dubicki. Just a little angle shake on his axe, but he switched over to the other side quickly, about 2-3 strokes ahead of Arkadiusz Drozdek. And Arkadiusz was really going for it as well. So, I mean, only 3 seconds and change slower than Kamil Dubicki. But what a performance by the youngest of the Dubicki boys. And by the way, that is a personal best, as well as, I believe that's a national record, is it not? SB? You'll have to clarify that for me, Marcus. But a couple of records falling there by Kamil Dubicki. We'll clarify that for you as time goes by here. And we are moving into heat number 5 coming up. And that is going to be between Christian Kaczmarek and Michał Dubicki, the reigning champion. And these two guys, they've had their battles in the past. And you can see their personal bests are both very good, but Michał Dubicki, a 17.43 personal best. So as far as personal best, that advantage definitely goes to the reigning champion. Let's see how he can unfold this one. Christian Kaczmarek, as you see, Polish champion from 2012. He's been around this sport for a long, long time. And again, you know, it's really about these guys having that pedigree and that time and that experience. It's not always about being young, dumb, and full of fun, you know?
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
All right, here we go. Michał Dubicki on the right-hand side of your screen, and Kaczmarek, Christian Kaczmarek on the left. Oh, Kaczmarek quick over to the other side of his block. He's motivated going up against the national champion, and he has really obviously been working on his underhand chop. Not his strongest discipline, and Michał Dubicki, all that power and really working that axe, but it's getting stuck in there quite a few times, and it looks like Dubicki might get through first. He does in a 26.97, but Christian Kaczmarek, oh, hello, what's happened there? Christian Kaczmarek is still working on his block. had a bit of a switched angle there, and he really struggled on those last few strokes, although he was first to move to the other side. So a 37.92 unofficial, and Michal Dubicki with a 26.52 adjusted. All right, so there we see Kamil Dubicki still holding on to the fastest time of the day. Michal Dubicki with the fourth fastest time at 26.52. And Christian Kaczmarek, who was just in that battle with a 37.51, sitting down in 8th place. So he's on the bubble currently in this discipline. But let's not forget, in round number 1, we have 3 disciplines to get through. And we are done with the underhand chop. So Kamil Dubicki, the 26-year-old, the young gun in this competition, is leading so far.
Jesteśmy... Michale, jesteśmy po pierwszej konkurencji, underhand chop. Powiedz, czy jesteś zadowolony z tego biegu?
Oczywiście totalna zepsuta konkurencja, nie udało mi się. Pierwsza strona mało wyrąbana, no i tak wyszło. Później już nie mogłem skończyć na drugiej stronie. Ile mogłem, tyle miałem sił, ale jednak drewno wygrało nade mną.
Michale, zwróciliśmy uwagę, to jest też pewnie radość. Kamil Dubicki osiągnął rewelacyjny wynik, jesteśmy sami zdumieni, także również dopingujemy. Powiedz, jakie plany masz na kolejny bieg, na kolejną konkurencję, co zrobisz?
No, postaram się wygrać, no jak każdy zawodnik chce wygrać. No będę się starał, żeby wszystko poszło ok. Nie jak przy tej konkurencji, no wyszło mi wszystko źle.
Dziękuję tobie bardzo.
Będę się starał, dziękuję.
Dziękuję. So, Michał is quite disappointed. He told us that it should be better. Wood was quite good, but Wood won with Michał Dubicki this time. He told us that he will give his best and he will fight for it. Back to Munich.
Well, thank you very much, Christoph. I mean, we've seen 5 heats, 4 personal bests. And the youngster, last year's rookie, taking the lead after this first round.
Yeah.
Is this like saying, "Hey, bigger brother, I'm here for you"?
Yeah, that's a slap in the face. But I mean, you could see Michal Dubicki obviously disappointed about that, and you know, I think maybe the translation wasn't 100% because I guarantee you, Michal Dubicki is saying, "I'm coming after my little brother, and I'm going to slap him around like a rag doll."
I'm going to eat him alive.
But seriously, I mean, what a great performance by Kamil Dubicki, 26 years old, and if you look at him compared to the other guys on that stage. Yeah, I mean, he's what you would call in German, a Spargeltarzan, you know, a thin, tall guy. So good to see him doing that.
I love that Kamil Dubicki, you know, really attacking the camera, absolutely fantastic. And that's so much that we're going to be looking forward to in this competition. Like you said at the beginning, the youngsters the older ages with all their routine. This is going to be a really, really interesting competition today.
Yeah, and he's got the advantage of two older brothers who have helped him along the way, every step of the way, for sure. I mean, an internal competition with those guys, you have to guarantee that that is a serious, serious battle. So you know that he has learned probably the hard way, and which is why he is performing so well today. But let's see how he does in the stock saw, our next discipline.
Absolutely. And all you need to know about the stock saw coming up, yes, now.
The STIHL MS661CM stock saw is used in STIHL Timbersports as the ultimate test of operator skill. Designed for the toughest jobs in forestry, it produces approximately 7.3 horsepower, has a displacement of 91.1 cc, and weighs 7.4 kilograms. To ensure evenly and fairly matched saws, professional STIHL technicians prepare and test the saws before each competition. Stock saw. After the starting shot, the contestants have to cut two wooden discs, so-called cookies, within a 10-centimeter mark, one downward and one upward. The attempt is only valid when both discs have been cut off completely and within the marks.
Look at the starting order. Heat 1, Tomasz Kowal and Marcin Dubicki. In Heat 2, Artur Krupinski and Christian Kaczmarek. Heat 3 consisting of Krzysztof Majewski and Kamil Dubicki. In Heat number 4, it will be Michal Dubicki and Marcin Draga. And finally, in Heat number 5, we will see Arkadiusz Drozdek and Marcin Juskowski. Let's take a closer look at the first heat. Troy, back to you.
Yeah, these guys are quick in Poland. I mean, that's some serious, serious effort on stage for these guys to get it ready to go. And here's our first heat with Tomasz Kowal and Marcin Dubicki. I mean, you know, 36 against 42. I'm looking forward to seeing how Kamil does in the stock saw, because this is a discipline where it's not all about strength and endurance. It's about your ability to feel the touch of that saw. It's about having a little bit of that fine tuning in your hands and in the way that the saw sounds in your hands and everything, because push too hard, the saw can stall. Don't push hard enough and you're not cutting quickly. So that is the skill here. It's not about your power. It's about your targeting skills and how quickly you can get that saw in place and then maintain a good pressure. Here we go.
2, 1, go!
All right, great start by Marcin Dubicki, but Tomasz Kowal, wow, how fast is he? He got through there so quickly, and that's a 10.79 for Tomasz Kowal, a great time, and Marcin Dubicki with an 11.55. Not bad when you consider that the world record for stock saw was only set a month ago by Pontus Sky in the National Cup in Sweden, and that is a 9.14. So he is very, very close. Tomasz Kowal with a 10.59, a personal best for him, and Marcin Dubicki also a personal best at 11.37, and all cuts are good. Now here, if you see that both cuts are good, that means that a complete cookie has landed on the ground, 2 of them in fact, and nobody has cut over the line. They have to cut within a certain space. Now, they always say thin to win. This is not a bad cookie here by Marcin Dubicki, but he was just not quite as fast as Tomasz Kowal. Look at this first cut by Tomasz. He's got that saw angled in quite a bit, but makes a quick readjustment. Bang, that cookie's on the floor. Barely any swing on the change from downstroke to upstroke, and boom, look at that. That final little cut was a little bit slow, but he had it nice and clean. 2 good cookies on the floor, and our first heat is done and dusted with our next heat in the blocks, and that is going to be Artur Krupinski against Christian Kaczmarek. And after that first heat with Tomasz Kowal getting a 10.59, I have to question whether or not perhaps the wood is in condition here to have another world record drop today. I'm not going to predict it, but yeah, I mean, that was a nice heat. Fast positioning checks by Christian Kaczmarek. You want to make sure that that saw is in exactly the right position so that when you pull your hands down off the log, that you're grabbing in exactly the right spot. And he's just been given some information by our head judge on stage. I'm not sure what information he was given, but he obviously needed to run and get something from the back. And I guess that means we'll have a small delay before heat number 2 between Artur Krupinski and Christian Kaczmarek will get underway. And both our athletes have left the stage now. I'm not sure what's happening there. The headgear. That's another thing. Now, that was actually a real fair play by our head judge because the guys need to have the equipment on that is required for the competition. If something's missing, a pair of protective glasses or the ear protection, then they can get disqualified. So that was a nice move by our head judge there to let them know. Now they'll have a few seconds to get those saws started, warm them up, and then let them stay running on the specially designed foam pads on the ground so that the saws don't hop away. Here we go.
Ready. Stand for your timber. 3, 2, 1, go.
Krupinski on the left-hand side of your screen, Kaczmarek on the right. Time is running. Both saws are in the blocks, and we have our first cookie on the ground by Kaczmarek, who's looking good today, and he's going to get a clean cut at 11.68 and a 10.74 for Krupinski, who came from behind to win that one. Now it's about checking those cookies to make sure they're clean. Looks like both cookies are complete, and now it depends on whether or not anybody is cut over the line here between these two. Couple of good times, and as again I said, you know, we're seeing fast times by these Polish athletes. Let's see what our judge says with a final check on the ground there. Also looking like both cookies are complete. That's very important. It looks like we have thumbs up, but let's make it official here. There you go. And after adjustment, we have an adjustment on the time for Artur Krupinski, who's now got a 10.58. That's a personal best, putting him into first place in stock saw. Let's take a look back at the slow-mo here. And again, one of the reasons why they say thin to win, if you've got a thin starting cut or a thin finishing cut, there's not as much material pulling on the saw to slow down that chain. But there's also the risk that if you've got a very thin cookie, you might cut out of the cookie. And here you see, now that is a beautiful thin upstroke cookie by Krupinski. And that was the way he wanted to finish that one off. Artur Krupinski with a great final cut to come from behind, in my opinion, against Kaczmarek. And now we move on to heat number 3, Krzysztof Majewski against Kamil Dubicki. Now we saw Kamil Dubicki with a great underhand chop to start our competition off, getting him the fastest time there. Will he be able to pull off something incredible in the stock saw? It will be interesting. 45 years old against 26 years young. A massive human being on the left-hand side of your screen against a, let's call him, not so massive human being on the right in Kamil Dubicki. But once again, I have to emphasize that this particular discipline has nothing to do with power. It's about control and that fine touch.
Warm up your saw.
Time to beat, 10:58. You see there on the middle clock. Here we go.
Athlete ready. Stand for timber. 3, 2, 1, go.
Wow, really quick start by Kamil Dubicki. Krzysztof Majewski also having a good cut on the downstroke there, and he gets back into it early on the upstroke, but it is Dubicki with a 12.17, and I don't know, that puts him, yeah, that puts him in first overall. The orange screen that you see there with the first means that he's got first in the overall because of the time there. He is sitting at the moment in 5th in the stock saw results, though, with a readjusted time of 12 even. So he's 1.42 seconds off the pace, with
Ladies and gentlemen,
Krzysztof Majewski 13.81. So at the moment, Majewski sitting in 6th place in stock saw. Interesting, the first 5 guys in the list here all have personal bests in stock saw. So that tells you that there is some good wood out there and some good skill as well. As we take a look back. Great start by Kamil. You saw him get that saw up and in position quickly, and you can even see from this angle that is a thin first cookie. Barely any downswing as he repositions for the upstroke. Now, that was interesting there for Krzysztof Majewski. He had to reposition on the upstroke because he was already cutting outside of his disc, and that means that he would have had a problem if he kept cutting. And a little hop right there also caused him problems at the start of this cut. You can see his style of cut as well is to use the saw in a stable position there and just angle. Oh, excuse me, that is Kamil. So, yeah, you can see that his saw style was a bit different. And you'll see different saw styles, meaning, you know, just pushing the blade up and down. Some guys using the entire saw up and down, as we see heat number 4 getting ready with Michał Dubicki against Marcin Darga. And these two guys, both members of the Polish team, and have no problem battling against each other. A couple of very, very big boys and plenty of experience between these two gentlemen on the international and national stage as well. So in this one, keep a close eye on the style that these two gentlemen use for cutting. You might see a similar style by Michał Dubicki, with holding the motor of the saw in one position and just using the blade angle through the wood, whereas Marcin Darga, if I remember correctly, he tends to be a full machine cutter. But don't quote me on that, as we will get into action shortly. Artur Krupinski still with the time to beat of 10.58 seconds. And as I mentioned, the top 5 guys in the competition so far in results have personal bests.
okay, gentlemen, warm up your saw.
How nicely do those start up, Marcus? I mean, barely have to do anything.
Ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
And there you see on the left-hand side of your screen, Michał Dubicki with that motor-centered style. Marcin Darga on the other side there using the whole saw. Wow, those are some pretty good times. 10.84 for Dubicki and an 11.52 for Darga. So both of them up there in the mix, top 5 now. Michał Dubicki, 10.84 is a personal best for him. And Marcin Darga also with an 11.33 and a personal best there. And after we've seen some adjustments in the score, it's actually going to be a 10.62 for Michał Dubicki and a 11.33 for Marcin Darga. So still not the fastest times of the day, but they are in positions 3 and 4 in the stock saw results so far. And there you see, that is the saw of Marcin Darga. And tendency is to push with the entire saw and the blade on the way down. And there you see the view from Michał Dubicki's stand. He gets that blade in position, then holds the motor dead center and just uses the motor as a fulcrum and angles the blade through the wood. So 2 different styles there, as I mentioned, and we move on to heat number 5 in a stock saw, and that is Arkadiusz Drozdek against Marcin Jakowski. Look at Jakowski's personal best, 9.51. That is not far off the world champion, or the world record at the moment held by Pontus Sky. So let's see if he can actually pull that off. And that world record, by the way, that they showed on screen, that's a bit of an older one. The new world record was just set a month ago in Sweden by Pontus Sky in 9.14 seconds. So this is a strong discipline for Marcin Jaskowski. He holds the national record
Warm-up Pietro.
at 9:51.
Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Whoa, look how quick Jaskowski got on that saw. Takes a step forward, puts a little bit of pressure on there. He's already on that upstroke, looking very good. Could be good. A 9.63. That's not going to be a record compared to what he's had before, but that is a fantastic time, putting him in the top of the STIHL results so far. Arkadiusz Drozdek also not bad at all, sitting in 5th at the moment with an 11.12. So Marcin Jaskowski with a 9.47 jumps into the top positioning in STIHL, assuming everything is good.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, stand 1. Okay, stand 2. A national record. Both goods are good.
Oh, wow. After adjustment from our competition control, he has, in fact, beaten his own national record of 9.51 with a 9.47. That is a fantastic result for Marcin Jaskowski. And Arkadiusz Drozdek in 5th place there in the STIHL results means that he takes over the top of the overall rankings list after 2 pretty strong disciplines. And we see there the saw of Arkadiusz Drozdek. That second cut is thick as a brick. Unbelievable that he got up there that quickly. All right, so there we see the results from STIHL, Marcus, and that was a fun one with a national record dropping and all those personal bests. That's insane. All right, so there you see Arkadiusz, a little bit of a tactician here, actually. Moves into the top spot in the overall rankings with 19 points total. Tied, actually, with Kropinski. So it's going to be an interesting battle as we head to discipline number 3, the standing block chop.
Arkadiusz Drozdek.
Witam.
Witam serdecznie. Arku, po pierwszej konkurencji underhand chop poszło tobie naprawdę świetnie. Zajmowałeś drugą lokatę. A powiedz mi, co się zadziało podczas drugiej konkurencji, podczas STIHL? Miałem wrażenie, że podczas poderwania pilarki nie poszło to tak gładko, tak szybko. Czy mam rację?
No oczywiście, że masz rację. Mam na Ciebie patrzeć? Oczywiście, że masz rację. Ja zawsze powtarzam, że konkurencja z STIHL jest szalenie techniczną konkurencją i nie wybacza żadnych błędów. No i to jest właśnie dokładny przykład, że ta konkurencja nie wybacza. Taki mały błąd kosztuje bardzo wiele punktów utraty. Wracając do underhand, oczywiście czas w miarę dobry, natomiast samo wykonanie zadania bardzo niedobre z mojej strony. Nie jestem zadowolony, ale jak to mówią, dopóki piłka w grze, startujemy, bawimy się, dajemy z siebie wszystko jak zawsze.
Arku, ty uchodzisz zdecydowanie za bardzo technicznego zawodnika, za doświadczonego zawodnika. I jak wiemy, technika odgrywa bardzo ważną rolę. Jaki masz plan na kolejny bieg? Co się będzie działo?
No, wiesz co, to trudno jest zaplanować kolejny bieg, bo to jest wszystko składową, wypadkową tego, jak to wszystko się zadzieje. Jest to sport nieprzewidywalny. To, co wytrenujemy w domu, gdzieś tam w ciężkim pocie czoła, to tutaj ma się przełożyć na dobry wynik. Natomiast wiadomo, że różnie to się układa, jeżeli już dochodzi do startu. Są stres, nerwy i takie wszystkie inne rzeczy, które decydują o naszym wyniku.
Arku, bardzo dziękuję.
Dziękuję.
So very short, Arkadiusz Drozdek is the most titled Polish competitor, and he was telling me about technique. Technique is the most important thing, and the second competition during the stock show, and there was a small mistake, and he promised that he will do his best to improve in next competitions. Now back to Munich.
Well, that definitely is something we know from this guy. He's always doing the best he can. But are you guys kidding me? This discipline, stock show, we had 8 personal bests and a national record, considering that 2020 was a very difficult year for all athletes and, of course, for STIHL TIMBERSPORTS athletes as well. So these guys have really done their homework. I mean, they're here and they're rock and rolling.
Yeah, they've obviously been training in the off season just to make sure that they're fit and ready to go for this competition here. And yeah, we can take a look at some of the highlights here from the stock saw just to give you an example of where this all was going.
I really want to see that again. Awesome stuff. That was brilliant. I can't get enough of STIHL TIMBERSPORTS, and luckily enough, in this year, 2021, we're going to get the chance to see a lot more competitions. Take a look at what's going to be happening this year. And that's just the summer we're talking about. So.
I mean, we've had a ton of things planned. We do have a ton of things planned. We did Benelux last week, 3rd of July, and the Team Cup for the Low Countries in Holland in the Netherlands. And yeah, today, the Polish National Championships. Awesome.
Yeah, what about the 31st of July? Rookie European Championship and the European Trophy. That's something very much to look forward to. And yeah, so much more to come. Make sure not to miss out. Next discipline, ladies and gents, simulates the classic way of chopping a tree. You want to know more about it? Well, you know everything about it. If you want to know more about it, take a look at this.
Standing block chop. At the standing block chop, the felling of a tree with an axe is simulated. A vertically positioned wooden block with a diameter of 30 centimeters has to be cut through both sides. A powerful and precise swing with the axe is the premise of a good result.
So all we need now is the start list of this competition. Let's take a closer look at the heats. In heat number 1, Krzysztof Majewski and Artur Kropinski will fight against each other. Heat number 2 will see Kamil Dubicki and Marcin Jusowski. In heat 3, Marcin Darga and Tomasz Kowal will show us their best, while in heat number 4, Arkadiusz Drozdek and Christian Kaczmarek will be competing. And finally, in heat number 5, we'll see Marcin Dubicki against Michal Dubicki. Really looking forward to that one. But Troy, we're going to start with heat number 1 right right now.
Yeah, heat number 1, Krzysztof Majewski, the big man up against Artur Krupinski. And again, it comes down to having the right amount of power in your mix because, you don't want to get that axe stuck into the block and have to yank it out. The other thing that plays a big role here is the angle of the axe, and you might see this and hopefully not, but occasionally if the angle is too much, the axe will skip off the log and fly up or down depending on where the stroke is coming from, and you won't get a good clean cut. But these guys, they've been training this for a long time. Small mistakes happen when you get tired, so let's see how these guys do.
Timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Good start by both of these gentlemen here. Krupinski on the right, Majewski on the left. And you can see they'll go about, I would say 10-15 chops in and then switch sides. And Krupinski moving over to the other side of his block there on camera. And Majewski has also moved over to the other side of his block. It's going to be a close one. I'm going to say Krupinski has a little bit of an advantage here, although size-wise, Majewski is definitely head and shoulders above Krupinski. And Krupinski drops it in 33.89. So that puts him on the top for the moment, but a 37 time for Majewski. These are strange times happening here. And yeah, Krzysztof Majewski with a 37 even. Let's take a look at the adjustments after our judge gives them the thumbs up, because both cuts look like they're actually quite okay here.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, both cuts are good.
And there you see the adjustments, 36.73 for Majewski and a 33.71 for Krupinski. So good starting times here for these guys. Just as a heads up to let you know how the fastest standing block chop in the world has happened. That is a record belonging to Matt Kogar from Liverpool in 2018. He managed to get through his block in 11.03 seconds. That is an incredibly fast time, and that was some good wood there as well. And yeah, you could see Krupinski not 100% satisfied with his time. He knows he can do better. As we move on to our next heat, which will be coming out on stage here, and that's going to be Kamil Dubicki and Marcin Jaskowski. Now, Kamil Dubicki with the fastest time in the underhand chop. Is he an axeman? Is the big question. He showed us what he can do with the underhand chop. Can he do something similar and absolutely and equally glorious with the standing block chop? We'll find out when he enters the stage here. And once again, big kudos to our stage crew as they come out here and they just do a fantastic job of getting this stage ready to go for the next competitions. A lot involved here, Marcus, to make sure that the stage is absolutely clear. And what's very critical is to make sure that there's nothing lying around on the stage, because you don't want to run around that block, switching to the other side, and slip with that sharp axe in your hand. And you can see them making sure that the bolts, they're screwing the bolts into the bottom of those blocks to make sure they're absolutely fixed onto those stands. You want to make sure that those things aren't going to be flying off the stands either, as these big men are powering through their strokes with that axe. Kamil Dubicki should be on the left-hand side on stand A, going up against Marcin Jaskowski on stand B, right-hand side. And there you see our lineup. 1.79 m, 88 kilograms, and 26 years old, compared to 1.88 m, 105 kilograms, and 42 years old. Experience plays a key role here, and I think I can safely say that Kamil Dubicki has gained plenty of experience through his brothers. Here we go, heat number 2.
Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Kamil Dubicki with a good stroke pace there as he is powering through that log nicely. Marcin Jaskowski on the other side and still working on his first side, whereas Kamil Dubicki has moved over to the second side of his block, looking good in this competition so far with the advantage. Kamil Dubicki with the lead. Jaskowski now moved over to his other side. He's about 4 or 5 strokes behind. Oh, that was a tough block out there. That big slab came off for Dubicki, but he finished it off with a very nice time of 25.87. That's a personal best for the young man. And that puts him in the top spot so far in the standing block chop results. So another good heat by Kamil Dubicki going up against Marcin Juskowski. Marcin Juskowski with a 38.29. Not the time that he was hoping for, but for Kamil Dubicki, a personal best. So again, the young man shows what he is made of here in this competition as we take a look back at the slow-mos. Good start by Marcin Juskowski there. Oh, a big stick in the block for him. But you could see slabbing out nicely. And there is Kamil Dubicki doing a great job. He decided to go over to the other side quite quickly, in fact. And here, this big slab comes off the backside. That can be troublesome sometimes, but that final blow by Kamil just did it, and he has himself the top time in the standing block chop for the moment with 3 more heats to go.
Well, try taking a closer look at Kamil Dubicki. I'm pretty sure he's going to get a lot of respect from his 2 older brothers.
Sure.
That's absolutely fantastic. In all 3 disciplines, a personal best. That's just the way you want to rock and roll.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And I mean, he's been proving that his mustard definitely stands up to the sandwich in this competition.
So it's all about respect and, of course, tolerance. And that means all STIHL Timber Sports athletes.
We are TIMBERSPORTS.
United by passion for the sport.
And competition.
We chop down racism.
And say yes to tolerance.
Yes to tolerance.
Say ja till tolerans.
Yes to tolerance.
Yes to tolerance.
是的，理解宽容。
Powiedz tak tolerancji.
Ja zu Toleranz.
We are TIMBERSPORTS.
Oh my God, how close is this?
I can hear you in the background. How do you do that?
It's magic.
Well, it's been very magical so far, to be honest. That's absolutely fantastic. And I think we can go back live to the next heats. And that, of course, is heat number 3.
Marcin Darga, look at the time that he has scored as a personal best here. This is a discipline that's absolutely his cup of tea, going up against Tomasz Kowal. Now, we saw Tomasz Kowal with a pretty nice result in the underhand chop. I think that he's probably been working, but up against Marcin Darga, this is absolutely his discipline. Marcin almost always on standing block chop in the team competitions, so he is probably, I would say, the man to beat in this discipline. Let's see if he can hold up to that moniker.
Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Wow, huge chip just flies to the roof of the building there, and Marcin Darga just hammering away on that thing with big, quick, fast, powerful hits. His accuracy is on point as well. Tomasz Kowal waiting to see what's going on with him in the background as our cameraman seemingly focused heavily on Marcin Darga. He's not going to beat his best time with a quick stick there, but he is going through this block like it is butter. 25:30 for Marcin Darga, the fast time of the day so far. And Tomasz Kowal still working on the front side of his block, I believe, hasn't moved over to the backside. This doesn't bode well for him, as he definitely needs to get it done in a minimum amount of time before he gets disqualified because of going over time. So really struggling here at this point, and I might have spoken a little bit too soon and jinxed him. Oh, a quick skip by the axe now 2 times. Problems for Tomasz Kowal, as it looks like, did he actually cut through the block just from one side? Normally that is not something that is allowed. He has to cut through the block from both sides, so that could mean a disqualification. Now, I didn't see if he actually cut on both sides. I wasn't paying attention there because there was so much focus on Marcin Darga.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, both cuts are good.
Okay, so obviously Tomasz Kowal did cut both sides, but he had a very, very slow time of 1:06.29, so just wasn't feeling it very well. But Marcin Darga with a 24.98, a great time. He just powered through that log. You could see, that Tomasz Kowal was still working on the backside of his, or the first side of his block, as Marcin Darga came through there super quickly, and that was a moment right there for Marcin Darga. Not a personal best, but a mighty fine and quick time by
mighty fine.
A big man, absolutely. He's got tons of power in those Popeye arms of his, so good job.
Talking about power, I remember you asking me what I wanted for my birthday. Maybe take a closer look at this. This might be a nice present I would enjoy.
All right, standing block chop, heat number 4 of 5 in the mix. Here is Arkadiusz Drozdek going up against Christian Kaczmarek. A couple of guys that have battled against each other in the past. Arkadiusz Drozdek also with a fairly decent personal best time of 19:03. Will he be able to hold on to that? And I don't know if he realized that his hand heart wasn't really working 100%. We'll have to work on that with them in the mirrors a bit.
I enjoyed watching that, though. It might mean something different, something we don't know yet.
Different, yeah? Maybe he's going for a zero time or something like that. Here we go.
Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
All right, both starting from the backside position of their blocks. Drozdek, Kaczmarek, both of them just really putting their hips into action here, and that is one of those things that you learn over time. Not to bother trying to use just your upper body, your arms and your chest to swing that axe, but actually stepping and pushing off of that back foot. And this is a great heat between these two warriors. Drozdek coming close to finishing it off. Kaczmarek not that far away from finishing his block off, and it might be Kaczmarek going first. Oh my goodness, how close was that? Right on the button with each other, with Drozdek just a couple hundredths of a second ahead of Kaczmarek. What a great battle between these two. That was exciting right to the very end. Wow. Now, neither one of these guys had the fastest time of the day, but Arkadiusz Drozdek with... Hold on a second here. Yes, both cuts are good. So official adjusted time, Arkadiusz Drozdek with a 29.67. Get this, Christian Kaczmarek with a 29.94. That is close. And yeah, I see the fingertips there. It's an angle thing. All right, so you could see here, these two guys just really going for it. They gave everything they had. Neither of them knocking down a personal best. This is a really difficult discipline because you're having to step off that back foot and push through. It's not like standing on top of the underhand chop and having a bit of gravity on your side. But you could see Arkadiusz absolutely pleased with the results.
And all that emotion. I love that emotion.
Yeah, they're just totally into it. It's so fantastic. I love it, yeah?
By the way, talking about fantastic, I sometimes feel like standing next to a superstar when I stand next to you, because I've seen you on Amazon Prime. Oh, well, let me correct it. I heard you on Amazon Prime.
Heard me on Amazon.
And so can you. Listen to this.
Oh my God, how close is this? It's one of the closest heats we've had all day long, and it's Australia!
When the crowd start, you know, erupting, screaming, shouting, it just really does give you goosebumps.
It's pretty awesome to compete in front of a crowd like this.
I've been working my ass off the last 5 years to get to this point.
Is it going to be the checker bubble? Yes, it is! And the crowd goes bananas! He moves, then goes down. He's looking good!
It might make some people nervous. It doesn't make me nervous. It makes me ready to go.
To come here to the World Championships is one of my dreams. It has been ever since as a kid.
Not just great movies, but also great sports.
Absolutely.
Talking about great sport, heat number 5 coming up.
Last heat in the standing block chop, and it's Marcin Dubicki going up against his brother, Michal Dubicki. Marcin is the older of the Dubicki boys, and Michal would call him the middle child in this case. And I wanted to mention back to something I talked about earlier, and we talked about it, the crew cleaning up the stage there. You saw Ben Cumberland in those Amazon clips.
Oh yeah, when he
fall
slipped
down, and that's one of the reasons why it's so important to clean up that stage. Now, he fell down off of his own wood chop, but nevertheless, it's a dangerous moment, and he did come back and win that heat, by the way.
That was an amazing heat. Yes,
athletes ready. Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Dubicki against Dubicki, the brother battle, and it is underway. Marcin on the left-hand side, Michael on the right-hand side. Now, Michael's a bit shorter than Marcin, but he's got a lot of power, and he's moving over to the other side of his block first. Looking for a personal best here today. Let's see if he can pull it off. He's already got that thing wobbling on top. Marcin Dubicki working hard on the other side. Michal Dubicki with a 23:02. Great time, and that puts him into the top spot. Marcin Dubicki looking for the final cut with a 31:23. Great job by Michal Dubicki with a good time, and he moves ahead of Marcin Darga. And I have a feeling that this is going to be a bit of a head-to-head as we move towards the end of this competition, because when I look at the overall rankings, Michal Dubicki is on the top with 30 points, and Marcin Darga right behind him with 28 points. But we've got a confirmation. These two gentlemen have good cuts, and that means Michal Dubicki wins standing block, putting him in the top spot in the overall standings. With Marcin Darga, by result of his second fastest time, he has got second in the overall. But here we look at Michal Dubicki just going to town on that block. I think the only thing that's missing here is the live audience. I can't wait till we get back to live audiences. There is just nothing quite as electric as having those fans in-house and going bananas for their home crowd.
Absolutely, same here. I can't wait for that to happen. But taking a look at the disciplines and knowing that the round 1 is over, who's back on top? Michal Dubicki.
There you go.
He always does it.
But pay close attention to 3rd position and 4th position. Arkadiusz Drozdek and Kamil Dubicki. They're in striking distance. We are going to lose a couple of athletes here. It looks like Tomasz Kowal and Krzysztof Majewski will be out of the competition as we move on with the top 8 guys into the next discipline.
And we have an interview now with Marcin. Krzysztof and Marcin, we are ready to hear what you have to say.
Marcin Darga. Marcinie, jesteś jednym z najlepszych polskich zawodników w rzucie dyskiem. ale również bardzo dobrze sobie radzisz w Timbersporcie. Po pierwszych 2 konkurencjach widziałem, że jesteś na 5. pozycji. Nie wiem, jak się plasujesz po standing block chop. Powiedz, w jaki sposób przygotowujesz się do zawodów? Zdradzisz nam jakieś tajemnice?
Przygotowuję się u kolegi, trenujemy razem. Tajemnicą nie ma żadnych tajemnic. Systematyczność, ciężka praca, no i precyzyjne uderzenia. To jest droga do sukcesu.
Czyli jest to podejście sportowe. Dziękuję Tobie bardzo.
Dzięki.
Marcin Darga is one of our strongest competitors. He's also one of our Polish best disc throwers, but he's doing well at Timbersport. So I've asked Marcin how he's preparing to the competition. As a sportler, he said that work, work and work. Now back to Munich.
Well, thanks very much, guys. Work, work, work. Yeah,
work,
preparation,
work.
preparation.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about.
All work make Marcin a successful guy. So in this case, yeah, work is the way to go. And that work ethic definitely plays a big role, as you see, because he motored through that log and had the second fastest time, and he's in the second overall position at the moment. So great job by him. But this competition is far from over. We have 2 more disciplines in round 2 before we get to the hot saw. And this is what I'm interested in next.
And only 2 points separating the number 1 from number 2 and 3. And I've got some more work for you, Troy.
Yep.
We're going to take a look at the highlights of STIHL now to find out where the final seconds and milliseconds were made. Sorry, underhand chop. So here we have all the disciplines. Standing block chop that we're just getting to see now.
One of the international Timbersports athletes from Poland.
Again, round 1 consisting of the underhand chop, the stock saw and the standing block chop. 10 athletes starting off in round number 1. 8 athletes proceeding to round number 2. The springboards coming up very, very soon. So, off we go.
This is the next one that's going to be the, some guys call it the misery whip. Other guys call it the pain saw.
I've heard the pain saw, but what, the misery?
The misery whip, because this saw that they're going to use in this next discipline is 2 meters long. It is an absolute beast. And if you make just one small mistake, it can shut the whole thing down, and then you need to restart. But you'll see that information when we give you more of an update on this particular piece of equipment and this discipline.
The 2-meter-long cross-cut saw used for the single buck discipline is made especially for competition. A series of consistently patterned 10-centimeter-long teeth are cut with a laser on one side of the saw and then hand-sharpened. Saw teeth are divided into 2 types, cutters and rakers, just like on the old-school saws. The saw weighs about 5 kilos and its base price starts at around 1,500 euros. Single buck. The single buck is a one-man saw about 2 meters long. With this, the athletes have to cut off a complete disc of a 46-centimeter thick wooden block. The perfect interplay between rhythm and strength is the key to success.
Oh, wow.
This is an old school saw right there. This is what they used way back in the beginning of the sport. This is the, as I said, the misery whip or the pain saw. It's a fun one to watch, and you have to have absolutely everything keyed in for this one, because this is where it all started back in the day. This saw and the axe.
Yeah, well, Troy, the first competition of steel timber sports, that was in 1985, so 36 years ago. Did they use saws like this at the time?
Probably a little bit shinier than that saw, but I imagine that came from one of the very early historical competitions.
So the kind of black and white TV competitions?
Yeah, those things.
Well, it is the original extreme sports, and it started off like this.
Expert woodsman who can cut down a tree more easily than most people can chop one up. When it really comes to tackling large lumps, you can't beat the men of the forestry companies.
An axeman's gathering.
Watch it now. Really enjoyed that, and that means we're going to take a look at the starting order of single buck. In heat number 1, Christian Kaczmarek against Marcin Dubicki. Heat number 2, Marcin Jusowski against Artur Krupinski. Heat number 3, Kamil Dubicki and Arkadiusz Drozdek. And finally, in heat number 4, Marcin Draga will take on Michal Dubicki. That's our 8 remaining athletes. This is the start of round number 2. Off we go, Troy.
Yeah, Arkadiusz Drozdek in heat number 3. Keep an eye on that one, because this is a discipline where he is very strong. And I was just mentioning earlier, we saw all of the historical competitions, and gone are the white pants and the shirtless competitions. They're gone the way of the dodo. Thankfully, these guys are wearing functional gear with protective elements incorporated in. It's very important, and one of the reasons why the judges keep a close eye on what they're wearing out there. Here we go, our first competition.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1. Go!
Remember what I talked about, how this particular discipline requires just exactly the right amount of angle and rhythm. Christian Kaczmarek looking very good. Michal Dubicki, oh, he got a bit of trouble there on the last few strokes and got that saw stuck. Excuse me, Marcin Dubicki. He's got a personal best at 16:15. Great time for Marcin Dubicki, but Christian Kaczmarek with a 12.80. And that's 2 personal bests right in the mix there. Now, what you saw with Marcin Dubicki, just in the last couple of strokes, that saw stopped because his angle got a little bit too steep, and that means he had to restart that saw. 2 meters long, 10 centimeter long cutting and sweeping teeth, and that makes it really, really difficult. But both of these guys managed to pull off personal bests here, and so at the moment, they're sitting in the top 2 positions respectively for this single buck. Now, let's look again here. Christian Kaczmarek, just getting that saw working, using the entire length of the saw, keeping the flow going. Very important to keep that motion. Now you see he's got an assistant there with a wedge and a spray to lubricate that saw. There are 2 ways of doing this, with and without, and there are 2 separate world records for those disciplines, with and without assistant. Now here we're looking at with assistance with the wedger and sprayer. And right there, that bottom couple of cuts by Marcin Dubicki was just a bit choppy because he had to restart that saw as we move on to heat number 2. And you can see how quickly this can go when these guys really have that saw working well. Those things are mega. Artur Krupinski up against Marcin Jusowski, another Marcin in the mix. And these 2 guys couple of okay times. I should mention that the single buck world record held by Jason Wynyard since 2007 has yet to be touched. 9.39 seconds. That is a with assistance world record. That is, I don't think anybody's come really close yet. I mean, that's a record that stood since 2007, and that is Jason Wynyard's, Queen, Kings, platinum discipline, you name it what you want, Marcus.
I'm not even sure if anyone ever will be able to beat that time, because that was, everything was just perfect on that day.
It was the perfect storm for him on that day. Absolutely true. All right,
I did my maths, by the way. I just counted the personal bests. 15 personal bests already.
So far in the competition? That's ridiculous. Awesome.
So they were really using the time and practicing in the year 2020.
Absolutely.
Because I remember at the beginning of the season, I was kind of unsure and uncertain if the athletes are going to be coming back at the same level we saw them in 2019.
Well, they have done.
Absolutely.
So far in the first two competitions we've had in July, they've shown that they're absolutely on point with the competition this year. So here we go. Marcin Jaskowski against Artur Krupinski.
2, 1, go!
So Jaskowski on the left-hand side of your screen, Krupinski on the right. There you see Krupinski now activating the length of the saw. Oh, but he got an angle on there. It was a bit stuck. Krupinski, though, still looking good towards the bottom. Jaskowski also got a bit of a stick on his saw. So let's see who drops that cookie first. A couple of short strokes at the end. And both of these guys, wow, really close together. 22.56 for 22.85. That was a very close heat. And we have a personal best for Artur Krupinski.
It just doesn't stop.
Nope, it doesn't stop. But that's awesome. I love to see that stuff, Stepping it up to the next notch. Both cuts are good for these guys. So Jaskowski with a 22.34 adjusted time, sitting in third place. And then Krupinski with a 22.61 as a personal best in fourth place at the moment. So 2 of the 4 heats out of the way as we take a look there. So difficult to keep that saw in motion, and if it stops even the slightest, it's a bear to restart. So it's all there you go, a perfect example. That saw stopped on the backstroke and on that forward stroke in the last couple, and then he opted for short choppy strokes at the end instead of using the entire length of the saw to really cut clean and efficiently at the bottom. Also, at the bottom of those cookies, it's really important that you make sure that that saw doesn't bow or bend or twist, because if you break that cookie, resetting and getting on that last little chip on the block is really difficult. But again, you see in this discipline already in the single buck, 3 personal bests have dropped. So that is pretty awesome. And in the overall standings, now Krupinski moves up to the top of the leaderboard with Marcin Jubicki, Christian Kaczmarek, and Marcin Jaskowski in fourth place. But there are still 4 athletes to go. And this is the one that I wanted to really focus on here. Kamil Dubicki, the young gun. His time, personal best on the single buck, not awesome, but not bad either. And the master himself, Arkadiusz Drozdek. Kamil Dubicki running on confidence at this point, but he knows he's up against the master in this discipline in Poland.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
So pay attention to the start here. Kamil Dubicki with a good start, actually a little bit better than Arkadiusz Drozdek. Arkadiusz drew that saw back and then got stuck, but Dubicki did the same thing midway through. But look at Arkadiusz Drozdek, the master. Oh, he bends that saw big time. He's got it stuck again. He's really in trouble, but he manages to drop it in 19.22. And that's a pretty solid time for Arkadiusz Drozdek. Puts him now in third place in the single buck standings. That was an ugly heat between these two. Boy, howdy. Those saws got stuck. I don't know how to simile that one. They just got stuck like crazy.
Both guts are good.
Oh, wow.
So Kamil Dubicki with a 21.12, Arkadiusz Drozdek with a 19.06. That puts Kamil Dubicki in the fourth place in the single buck results, with Arkadiusz just above him in third. And you can see here,
of course, a personal best for Kamil.
Yeah.
We still have to mention it.
Yeah, right.
Every single discipline.
I just noticed that now. You're absolutely correct, Marcus. Thank you.
Crazy.
It was down here at the bottom. There's the stick from Kamil, and then on the backstroke, trying to get through the front stroke again, he got it stuck. That saw bowed big time, but then managed to get a couple of strokes. And for Arkadiusz Drozdek, an uncommon mistake right there. Obviously feeling the pressure from the youngster, and again the angle just off, and one final kick at the bottom end of it. Still managed to get an okay time, but not a personal best for Arkadiusz Drozdek, who does have a 12.5 second single buck. So that means we are down to our last heat as we take a quick look at the overall standings. Hey, look at that. Arkadiusz Drozdek moves into the top spot. Kamil Dubicki right behind him. Both of these guys are in striking distance, but there's one more heat to go, and barring any major craziness, Michal Dubicki up against Marcin Darga. These two guys going against each other again. So, yeah, a battle of the Titans is probably the best way to describe this heat, or maybe a battle of the forearms.
I like that, yeah.
We heard in the interview also that Draga is an accomplished discus thrower. So, yeah, that's not really surprising. He could probably throw me like a frisbee.
I would actually love to see that.
No.
Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
You see, they both have a very good start. These are a couple of guys that absolutely know what's at stake here. And look at them just attack this block. Good flow for both of them. Oh, Dubicki gets a bit of a hook up there.
Wow.
But he manages to get through. Whoa, look at those times. 14.64 for Dubicki, 16.26 for Darga. Both of them quick today. Christian Kaczmarek still with the fastest time on the single buck, but yeah, Michal Dubicki slips into second place with a 14.64. Marcin Darga with a 16.26, adjusted now to 16.01, is in fourth place. And that means there's going to be some more changes in the overall standings.
Both guts are good.
All right, so you see that fastest time in single buck of 12.57, owned by Christian Kaczmarek. As we look back at the slow-mo, and there is Darga absolutely going to town on that log, but Michal Dubicki was just a bit faster, although Dubicki did get a big hookup right there as he pushed on that saw through the forward stroke. 2 times, in fact. He could have maybe even shaved off a full second with those 2 hookups, and that last cut by Marcin Darga was right there with Dubicki, but it was a full stroke behind, and they're both with pretty solid times. So there we see...
and even those big and strong men, even they are happy when it's over.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you have to understand,
exhausting.
You're gripping onto that saw like you're holding on for your life, because your life depends on it to move that saw back and forth. You're using your forearms, your shoulders, your hips, your legs, everything. You're beat after this. So taking a look back at the results of the single buck, Kaczmarek still with the best time of 12.57 by a pretty good margin. And if we look at the overall standings, check this out. It is still Michal Dubicki and Marcin Darga right there in the mix. And Drozdek and Kaczmarek. Now, Christian Kaczmarek has moved into fourth place, still in striking position here. We're going with 6 guys into the final round, but we do have the springboard coming up, and this is where the setup is really important. It takes a little bit of time.
Well, we're happy to wait, especially if we have an interview like now. Pia is in the CCC. Let's find out what's happening there at the moment.
Now I'm somewhere usually no one gets to catch a sight of, the CCCS, you just mentioned, Marcus, the Competition Control Center. In the middle of a lot of technical equipment and monitors is our man, STIHL Jansen. What exactly are you doing here?
We are here in the Competition Control Center. This is the heart of STIHL Timbersports. On this side we have a video system with 4 cameras for each athlete, where we're filming them with 100 frames each second. So we check every start that they do, because they can start at the G from go, like you heard. So it is athletes ready, stand to your timber, 3, 2, 1, go. At the G from go we receive a 0 time, as you can see here. When we move forward, we can see this athlete is moving on this time. So he is actually quite fast. On the end, we will go to the time where the timers press. This point, we can see a timer pressed here. So actually, he is finished already 0.5 seconds earlier than a timer press, and that can be the difference, or he can win or lose.
And what has to happen to get disqualified? Like, what types of DQs are there?
You have a lot of types of DQs. One especially is a jump start. A lot of people are quite close to the start, and when you're too early, then you get disqualified. Also, when you're using your axe like a wrench, so you're not chopping but wrenching, then you break the block off instead of cutting, you will get disqualified. I can show you an example of stock saw. This is stock saw heat, and they have this centimeter mark. Also, when they cut the mark here, so they get 10 centimeters. When they're over the 10 centimeters, they get disqualified.
Thank you for the interview, STIHL. Now we are handing back to the studio, Marcus.
Well, thanks very much, guys. Troy, we talked about it many times. The technology has evolved unbelievably in STIHL Timbersports, and it's great to see this, you know, how millimeters and milliseconds can decide. And it is a very, very fair competition for all athletes.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it's the only way to really judge it properly. The way these guys are performing these days, you can see it's like hundredths of a second that makes the difference between winning and losing, as STIHL mentioned from Competition Control Center. It really does make a big difference in a lot of cases when you're talking about millimeters and milliseconds. And we're going to take a look back at the highlights from our single buck now.
Let's do that. Awesome stuff, and I'm getting out my glasses because we want to take a closer look at the schedule for this summer. STIHL Timbersports coming up in many, many countries and many, many ways. Any favorites from your side, Troy?
Well, the Rookie European Championship, I'm really looking forward to seeing that, because the rookies, although you would think rookies are the young guys, it is true that is the case in many of the state cases, but there's also guys with a lot of experience, and they're a little bit older, but the rookies are really the future of the sport, and that's where we see the new guys are going to be taking over and developing into the next level and becoming the future pros. So that's a really fun one to keep a close eye on, because at the Rookie European Championship, that's 31st of July, by the way, coming to you from Munich, Germany. That's where you get to see the future stars of the sport.
And of course, a week later, on the 7th of August at the European Nations Cup, you're going to see rookies and pros compete together for their nation. So that's going to be a great one to watch as well. But let's not forget, we had the rookies compete this morning as well.
Yes, they did. And we had some really good quality rookies out there this morning. And we're going to take a look at some of the highlights from that, actually. And there's a couple of guys out there by the name of Grunwald who have been
well
pretty
pronounced, yeah.
dominating in the rookie class here. So we'll take a look at that shortly here.
Oh, that's a rookie. Nice.
Yeah. Rookie. In the competition by about a good 10 years at 36 years of age. Now you see the Grunwald brothers here going up against each other in the stock saw. Simon Grunwald with a 12.38 and Nikolai Grunwald with an 11.2. But these guys are, I mean, they're just fantastic. As far as the rest of the competition is concerned, Simon Grunwald with the standing block chop, a 13.20. In the single buck, he had a 14.09. And in the underhand chop, he had a 16.85. All number one spots for Simon, with the exception of the stock saw where he got fourth. And you can see here, just struggling a little bit to get through that block. And like I said earlier, this is not an easy discipline. The standing block chop just takes everything out of you. And that was, I believe, Marshai Kozalka, who just ran over the time. And here slabbing out nicely on this first couple of strokes.
It's so nice to see rookies, and you think of youngsters, you think of boys. These boys are men, you know, they are
absolutely
already tall and strong and then really hitting that wood. But like you said, you know, it takes some time to understand the perfect technique that you need for the different disciplines. And sometimes maybe a start that is too heavy is not perfect because you're going to need that stamina later on.
Yeah, just to give you a basic idea, Simon Grunwald, second at the Rookie Academy and seventh in the Rookie Cup in 2020. Rookie Academy was 2021 and seventh in the Rookie Cup in 2020. Nikolai Grunwald, consistent performer throughout this competition today. And like I said, Karol Gorski, number 3 in the rookie competition, the oldest in the competition by 10 years at 36 years of age. Also had quite a fine day on the blocks, getting second, third, and second in standing block, single buck, and underhand chop. The only place where he was a little bit slow was on the stock saw, where he managed to get a 5th place there. Or excuse me, no, he got the fastest time in stock saw, so by virtue of that, he was able to get himself a bronze medal in the rookies today in Poland. So good job. And you can see here, these guys struggling. And as I said, it's all about that learning process and figuring out what works and what doesn't, as this single buck here just is going to eat you up every single time if you don't have good flow. And that is about figuring out what works for you and what doesn't, and that experience. So these guys taking the time, gaining the experience, and moving up there. Eric Feiter, he really had problems with the single buck today, ending up with a 35.78 time when he finally did get through. And he actually had a personal best there. So again, more personal bests going on, and you can see even struggling through that single buck, he managed to get a personal best. So this is, again, this is about just forward movement and learning and taking the next steps into the professional level of timber sports.
And of course, in the rookie competition, you have the stock saw, you have the standing block chop, you have the single buck and the underhand chop, but you do not have the springboard and
correct.
block saw.
Yeah, that's something that they have to learn as they get into the next level.
You can now see on the insert that there's a 10 minutes break planned. That of course means we'll still be showing you some pictures from the rookies competition before we return to the pros competition and the springboard.
Your timber. 3, 2, 1, go! Two, one, go! To your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
At this point, congratulations and a big thank you to all the judges as well. I want to say goodbye. Thank you for watching and sharing with us. Back to the studio to Marcus and Troy. Bye.
So congratulations to all youngsters competing in the rookie competition. And of course, Shimon Grönweid's thumbs up. That was absolutely fantastic. We're going to move on with the springboard now. Here is all you need to know about this competition.
Springboard. Springboard simulates the traditional way of felling trees, climbing up over thick roots. First, notches known as pockets are chopped into the log. 2 springboards are then anchored into these pockets. The athlete then climbs up to chop through a 27-centimeter thick block of wood in the fastest time possible.
And that is exactly what we'll get to see now. Let's take a closer look at the start list here in springboards. Heat number 1, Christian Kaczmarek and Marcin Dubicki. Heat number 2, Marcin Jusowski and Artur Krupinski. In heat number 3, we'll see Kamil Dubicki and Arkadiusz Drozdek. And in heat 4, we'll have the competition between Martin Draga and Michal Dubicki. Oh, wow. Things are really heating up now.
Those last 2 heats are going to be really fun to watch because we've seen Draga and Dubicki go head-to-head against each other, and Drozdek and Dubicki, Kamil Dubicki were against each other in the single buck. So it'll be fun to see how those 2 manage on the springboard. Drozdek has the experience, but Kamil Dubicki, he's the young guy, and as you saw in the rookies, they don't have the springboard competition, so it's about learning that as they get into it here. So our first heat is already on right now as they've started that thing, and setting those pockets is key. Now take a look at that lower board there. It is sagging worse than somebody's grandmother's face, and you don't have any opportunity to push off the back of that board to get that pocket set properly. And now you can see Marcin Dubicki already up at the top of his second board. He's got a good angle on that second board, and now he's working on the top block. Now again, it's the same situation with that top block. They've got to be able to cut through from both sides, but what you'll see here is they'll cut deeper on the first side so they don't have to cut as far and as much on that strange angle on the backside. Kaczmarek has a much better board on his second springboard, but you can see both of them have a little bit of a sag on the angle there, but Dubicki, Marcin Dubicki, is looking like he's going to get this one done. Oh my goodness, he dropped the axe. A time of 1:17:38. Now that may mean that he will get a disqualification because he dropped the axe. We have to double check that because they need to keep control of their equipment. Kaczmarek, dropped the axe. Marcin Dubicki keeps everything in control as he comes down from the top. We'll have to see what the final call is by our judges here. That would be unfortunate for Christian Kaczmarek because both of these guys actually hit a personal best on this one. And again, the personal bests are dropping like flies.
Unreal. And of course, we had the CCC.
And we see a flag. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but we just saw a flag.
Stand 2, all good. Stand 1, we checked the start, and it was okay. Both guns are good.
Oh, sneaky. Sneaky. He threw that flag down just because of the start check. So I thought for sure there would be a problem with him dropping that axe, but apparently not. And they just had to go back to Competition Control Center to check the start, but everything was okay. Oh, those are those moments that, that just give you a heart attack.
So that really means we have 2 personal bests. Wow.
Yeah. Good top board there by both of these guys. And you can see right there now, I thought for sure that that would pose a problem. And imagine you're the cameraman watching that axe come flying down with that block. So next heat in springboard, heat number 2 with Marcin Juskowski up against Artur Krupinski. You can see their personal bests are quite up there when we compare the world record time of Sterling Hart from 2016 in Stuttgart. This is another record that I think won't be broken for a long time because it was absolutely the perfect storm. But he did manage to get a time of 35.67. That's just hard to imagine. 2 boards in and chopping that top block, he absolutely ripped it there. So
I didn't believe it until I saw it. On Amazon Prime, by the way.
On Amazon Prime. All right, here we go with heat number 2.
So how many hits for the pockets? What do you say?
Best pocket is 4 to 5 hits. 6 is okay. Above that, you start wasting time. But it's interesting if you count them to see how these guys set their pockets. So my count so far for Juskowski is an 8 hit, and he hasn't quite got that pocket set. It's really important that you have no slough or anything lying around in that pocket that could cause the springboard hook to not properly hold its position. And again, it's about having that really good angle and a solid board. Good check there from Juskowski as he's got himself his first board in position, and you can see the angle on the board. It's a nice angle. He can actually put a bit of pressure on the back end, which means that he can push off of that back foot and use his hips and the power through his midsection of the core of his body to really put pressure onto that axe and get a good hit.
And some of these guys are really heavy. So
yeah, and they're big boys. I mean,
yeah,
you know,
that pocket has to be really
good. Has
good.
to be a solid pocket. For the setting of the second pocket, not super important. You obviously don't want to have a saggy board, but where it's really important to have a good pocket and a good board position is when you're up on that top springboard and cutting the block at the top. Now, Juskowski has made his way onto the top, gingerly checking the back of that board. Looks solid for now, so he starts working on that top block. And Krupinski is just finally setting his second board. The time will run out at 2:30. So if these guys can't make their cuts by 2:30, they'll have a timeout. That means the overtime, and they will be disqualified. So they're getting close to the edit here as they work now, both of them on their top blocks. Juskowski has already started earlier on his top block. Krupinski there is now working on his top block. And again, they're going to want to cut deep on the first side so that it's fewer strokes on the backside with that awkward position and the twist that they have. And Juskowski has already started working on the backside, but he had his axe stuck now twice there. So that's causing him big problems, and he's already passing the 2-minute 15-second mark. So he's got about 10 seconds left now before that timeout will go and cause a disqualification. So he's really got to work at it. Krupinski doesn't look like he is going to make it, and both of them exceeded the time limit. That means a disqualification for both of these gentlemen in the springboard, which is super unfortunate because it is such a finicky discipline. And this is what it's really all about, getting those first pockets set in a timely fashion so that you have time on the top to really work the top block properly.
And it just doesn't get easier, does it?
No, it doesn't get easier. Once you're up there, you're already tired from having to set the board, climb up on the board, set the second board, climb up on the second board, and by the time you get up there, I'm winded just watching them. And then they got to work the top block. And you can hear there just really quickly as I talked over Bart Janssen, our head judge, that we have DQs on both of them for exceeded time. And this is really the key point here, is getting those first pockets set so that you can, you know, not waste a lot of time. And that was 8, 9, 10 hits, I believe, for that pocket. But he had a good board, Marcin Jaskowski. And Artur Kropinski, also same situation there. He got that axe really stuck deep in there. You don't need to hammer away on those pockets. You just need to have enough of a pocket so that you can set your board in place and have a solid position. But you know, this is again that learning process and that experience of doing this discipline. And it's one of those disciplines that, you know, as you mentioned, they don't do as rookies. So there's no experience coming into the pro competition. And that means they have to learn it all once they make the pro level. So there you can see our first DQs of the day happen in springboard. Normally we're seeing DQs in the other disciplines as well for minor infractions, an early start, or cutting over the line or something like that. But that's our first DQ of the day, very late in the competition. So that's actually a good sign.
If we take a closer look at Kamil Dubitsky, the youngest of the three brothers, he was a rookie just recently, so it's going to be very interesting to see how he gets along with the springboard.
Yeah, absolutely.
So here we are back again in the studio, having mentioned Kamil Dubitsky, a man who's had a personal best in every single discipline today. So that really shows us from being a rookie to transforming to a pro. He's done very well so far. But we've seen it before, you know, in the rookie competition, you do not have the springboard and you do not have the hot saw. So the next two competitions coming up, if it makes it to the third round as well with the hot saw, are going to be very, very important for him.
Absolutely.
And to give all those rookies all over the world a chance to learn from the best, well, something new has happened, and it's called the Rookie Academy.
Today we are at Bart Janssen's training camp in Holland, the rookie training camp.
It's a great experience because there are 3 national champions, Hans-Ove Hansen, Christoph Geisler, Martin Komarek. So it's fantastic.
I feel better prepared. It's nice to have 3 champions who we has for the training. Is I think the best way to grow up and to do stronger and better.
The knowledge of the experienced athletes, that's the key how we can move the sport and the new generation forward.
There is a lot of good rookies here today. They are a little bit tensed, they are a little bit nervous, but the level is high. So I'm looking forward to see the competition.
I hope when the athletes go home tomorrow night, they are excited for the next competition. They had some experience this weekend. They learned special things about the wood and equipment, and they feel well for the real big competitions.
And that, of course, was last week in Haarlem, Netherlands. I think a great idea with Bart Janssen really getting those youngsters involved. And yeah, you were watching it last week and you really enjoyed it.
Well, you saw some of the masters of the sport there helping these rookies out and making sure that they have some of those knowledge bases that they need for going to the next level. And as we mentioned, the springboard is not something that's included in the rookie competition, nor is the hot saw. And they had an opportunity to try out those disciplines at this rookie academy. So they got their first taste of these kind of finicky disciplines, and I really like to call the springboard finicky because you know, anything can happen. Setting that first pocket, the board sags a bit too much, it gets this angle, and you fall off the thing. You have to reset it. It's all about just that experience, and really the best in the world hit a four hit pocket, put the board in, 4-hit pocket, put the board in, and they're up top banging away at that top block quickly. And same thing with the hot saw. This is, we always say it's the make or break discipline, the hot saw. And, you know, if you can't get that thing started, or if there's just something that's not working, and these guys spend a lot of money on their hot saws, they have special gas, they have special things, and you'll see this later on with these particular saws. It's for all you motorheads out there. This is the perfect discipline because you get cutting and loud sound, and when you're actually on site and you see the live hot saw and the audience is there, then you have that smell and that vibe and that vibration from the saw, and everybody just goes bananas. It's a great thing.
It's absolutely amazing. And like you said, it's not just trying out those disciplines, but having your mentor, your heroes there as well, telling you how to do it. And where everybody wants to go, of course, is into an arena that's packed with a crowd. I mean, remember, Troy, we had some amazing moments, didn't we?
We did. Yeah. Live is best. Live is absolutely the best.
It comes down to Mitch Argent and Shane Jordan battling hard on the standing block. Who is it going to be? Is it going to be Australia or New Zealand? Oh my God, how close is this? And it's Australia!
The atmosphere last night in the team's relay was unreal.
That is their title of Team World Champion 2 years in a row.
Oh, definitely. It'd be the noisiest crowd I've competed against.
Shane Jordan's already over there.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of getting goosebumps thinking about it right now.
The crowds here, they were just erupting.
You feel the energy of the crowd.
My goodness, what a great comeback from Belgium with a time of 1.
The crowd was absolutely electric.
And it was so much noise and support.
Ja, doch, das pusht schon rum und mein Fanclub ist auch da.
Very passionate about their country and, yeah, their competitors.
Yeah, it feels super.
Oh my goodness, look at this.
It's pretty awesome to compete in front of a crowd like this.
But he's not giving up. He's looking good.
Like such an adrenaline rush. It's an amazing feeling.
They make a lot of noise, and that's good for our spirit. Is it going to be the Czech Republic? And the crowd goes bananas. It's absolutely extreme here. Unreal.
There's one thing I really have to say. If you get the chance to see STIHL TIMBERSPORTS live, do it.
Do it.
Unreal. It's the best.
There's nothing quite like it. The live atmosphere for the TIMBERSPORTS events is...
Bring the family, everyone. Bring your grandma. Even she's going to enjoy it.
Bring the whole family and just have a ball. And you won't believe the amount of screaming and noise and the atmosphere, and everything is just fantastic, and the fans are there, and we have lots of opportunities coming up to see it live on TV, and hopefully we'll soon have our live in-person events.
Oh yeah, that's what we're really looking forward to. 7th of August, the European Nations Cup. That's something very new, Troy. Yep. Very much looking forward to that. We've talked so much about rookies today, and they are going to be competing together with the pros for their country. And that's just one of the summer events that I think you should not miss out on.
For sure not, for sure not. Yeah, there's plenty to do this summer before the end of the summer holidays. So yeah, don't miss out on the action that's coming your way. And
don't worry, in autumn, world champs are coming up. And
still wide open. So there's plenty to see and do before we really get into our winter time. And Yeah, and hopefully we can get past this whole Corona situation and have the best in the world in person, live, right in front of you, and you can feel the buzz and the vibe and the energy of the axes and the saws and the hot saw and all of the people there. So yeah, it's going to be awesome when that finally does get to happen again.
Yep, and definitely all athletes are thinking just exactly like you.
Things have changed in the year 2020. We all know that. And welcome to the STIHL TIMBERSPORTS World Champion.
Hey TIMBERSPORTS World, it's Matt Slingerland here.
Hi, ich bin Adi Münzenmeier.
I'm Martha King.
G'day, I'm Brad Velez.
It's Michał Dubicki.
Ciao a tutti, sono Michael Leping.
Leo Smith had his fault.
Hi fans, here's the Robert.
I'm Ryden Moore.
He's 24 years of age. I believe he's still our current world record holder in the underhand chop.
During COVID, I moved to El Paso, Texas, took a travel therapy job, wanted to help out the community.
In this current situation with the COVID-19, I've just spent a lot of time at home, spending time with our newborn baby Grace.
Just doing some stuff around the house, doing bathroom remodel.
Doing hobbies I enjoy, such as steelhead fishing and mushroom foraging.
In der Freizeit, die mir bleibt, versuche ich mehr zu wandern und Zeit zu verbringen mit meiner Familie.
Definite advantage now for Armin Kugler from Austria. 3, 2, 1, go!
Ich hoffe, dass bald wieder vorangeht, dass die Saison starten kann, auch dieses Jahr noch.
We're a strong community and we love our sport, so keep training, stay positive.
Es kann bloß besser werden. Wir halten jetzt alle voll durch.
Still keeping up with some of the training, because eventually when this thing's over, we're going to have a competition sometime.
Hopefully everyone's still training hard and keeping an eye on what we do over the off-season, and hopefully we're up and going as soon as we can.
We're a community. We're in this together.
It is just a fantastic event. The excitement in the audience, the fans absolutely going for it. It is loud as can be in here. The fans are going bananas, and we are going to see some epic competition here.
I want to say I miss you guys. I can't wait till we get to compete against each other again.
Ich hoffe, dass es euch allen gut geht, dass ihr gesund seid, dass eure Familien gesund sind.
Take care of yourselves, but also take care of others.
Stay home, keep training, because I know I am.
Ich freue mich auf euch, auf die Fans, auf die Follower, auf alle, die den Sport begeistern und verfolgen.
Be nice and kind to people as much as you can.
Ich hoffe, ihr bleibt alle gesund und wir können uns demnächst wieder auf einen wunderschönen Wettkampf sehen.
Stay safe and I hope to see you all soon.
Ich wünsche euch alles Gute und wir sehen uns. Bis dann.
Stay safe, be smart, and train a lot because I'm coming for you.
And hopefully we'll have a good year. Cheers.
I'm coming for you.
I'm coming for you. Stay safe, train smart.
That sounds
I'm coming for you. Hang on. The shooters are coming out. Yeah, you know, it's going to be fun when we do get back to it because there's going to be so much energy, so much energy. All right.
Can't wait.
Springboard, heat number 3 coming up. Kamil Dubicki and Arkadiusz Drozdek. We talked about this one, Marcus.
Oh, yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing this one go down between two guys. One with experience, one as a rookie, but we've shown that, or seen already that this rookie is definitely on point. So let's see how he does here.
3, 2,
And the big question, will we see another personal best from Kamil?
I'm not surprised by anything this kid does today. It's amazing the skill that he's got. And Arkadiusz Drozdek already with a 4-hit pocket, getting up onto that second or that first board to set the second pocket. And this is what I talked about earlier. Just, you know, getting it really clean and done as quickly as possible and not wasting any time. Wow, that was a 3-hit pocket right there. And he's setting that board. Let's see if he's got a good angle on it. Yeah, it's sagging a little bit there. He might not like that. Nope, he's down. He's going to refix that pocket. Now, this is a problem there for Arkadiusz. He needs to reset that pocket to a level where he's got the angle on that board, and that gives a major advantage to Kamil Dubicki, who is on the other side and has already got his second board in place and is working on the top block. So this is a battle that Arkadiusz Drozdek is losing himself in because of that pocket. Feeling not confident with the position of the board, and it's now with Dubicki, excuse me, has the advantage of being on that top block. Now his second board it's not awesome, but it's not terrible either. He's not really using as much of the power off that back leg as he possibly could, but he has a distinct time advantage over Arkadiusz Drozdek. Now, Drozdek spent a lot of time setting that second pocket, and Dubicki is now well deep and should switch to the backside of that block fairly soon. Here we go. So Dubicki aiming for a personal best here as he tries to get through the backside of that block on that really uncomfortable, wacky angle. And Arkadiusz Drozdek spent so much time on that second pocket, but he has already started working on the backside of his block. So maybe Arkadiusz Drozdek does actually make a comeback. No, it will not happen. And look at that, Marcus. You called it. Another personal best by Kamil Dubicki with a 153.46. And Arkadiusz Drozdek finally drops that block in a 159.46. It came close for their time, but Drozdek not going to be happy with the results of that particular springboard. His first pocket, awesome. His second pocket was a dung beetle's back end. Sorry to say, it's unfortunate, and we don't normally see that kind of a second pocket from an experienced competitor like Drozdek, but obviously he saw something that he didn't like. And it looks like there is a flag on the play. There it is.
Yep, we have an investigation.
Yeah, stand number 2. That is Arkadiusz's stand. So they're going to video check. So let's see what that result brings us. Now is where it gets to be interesting, as they will go into competition control center and look very closely at something that was happening on Arkadiusz's stand. And it could be that same effect that they were talking about, what Schul Janssen alluded to earlier, and that's the wrenching effect of the axe on the block. So there could well be a disqualification for Arkadiusz Drozdek here. Let's just see what happens. Hopefully not, but it's a possibility.
A close call.
So this is one of the reasons why they have this high-tech equipment with these 100 frames per second high-speed cameras, so they can see exactly what's happening and analyze it. And they need to take the time to analyze it properly. They have several pairs of eyes on this to make sure that they really do make the fair call, because it could be that Arkadiusz's axe got hooked into that block on his last stroke, and that last stroke would have brought the block down anyway without the wrenching effect, and the axe getting caught in that block just wrenched by nature of the block moving itself. So this is something they have to look at. So let's see what the result is as Bart Janssen comes back on stage to give us the final call after the video view. Fingers crossed for Arkadiusz Drozdek here.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen. Stand 1 is okay. Stand 2, we did a video check. The last hit was very difficult, but we say it's okay.
Oh, well. Cut is good, Troy.
There we go. I'm getting misty. All right, so...
They're really celebrating that decision, though.
Yeah. I mean, but he had to explain it to the audience there, and he's now explaining it to Arkadiusz, and they weren't sure. And I'm positive that it was that wrenching effect, because the axe got caught in the top piece that was falling, and it appeared as though he wrenched it out, but it didn't in fact happen that way. So we have fair cuts on stand 1 and 2 for Arkadiusz Drozdek and for Kamil Dubicki. But what a great job by Dubicki. And you can see here, this is, I believe, Drozdek's first pocket or his second pocket. No, this is his second pocket, where he didn't feel good about the position of that board. Now, I kind of have the feeling that he could have left that board in and just stepped up, and it would have bit, but he wouldn't have had a really good hold on it. So maybe that's his decision process there. What a great job by Kamil Dubicki, though. I mean, just a fantastic competition so far for him. He's had a personal best in every single discipline so far, you said, correct?
Yep, that is
very,
very impressive.
And there, that very, very close review of the final hit by Arkadiusz Rostek. And there, the man himself getting the final explanation from Bart Jansen, the head judge on stage. And a bit of a thank you from both of those guys for being able to say, hey, it's a fair hit. Okay, our last heat in springboard. And this is going to set us up for who the 6 athletes will be moving on to the hot saw. And this one, 2 big boys going up onto these toothpick boards. Let's see how they manage. Marcin Darga against Michal Dubicki. And you mentioned it before. We've talked about it a little bit before in previous shows as well. Yes, the lighter athletes have a better time on top of that board. But if you get a big guy with a good positioned board, then he can really utilize that power, like I said, off that back leg. But it's about setting those first pockets to get that second pocket clean and everything. So,
athletes ready.
Here we go.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Five-hit pocket for Dubicki. Looks like Darga, yeah, he's still working on it. He's got a dirty pocket. And no, he's got his board in, excuse me. So that was about 7 hits for Darga. The second pocket for Dubicki, a little bit of cleaning going on there. Some housekeeping by him, setting that second board. And Michal Dubicki,
that looks good.
He's got a nice board up top. Now, if he can hold that position, he's got more or less 90 degrees. Oh, no! Darga's board came down. And he has got to set back up. No, he didn't. The board didn't come down. Excuse me. The other board fell from its position, leaned against that tree. So now he's got to set that board and get up there. He is really behind the gun now, as Michal Dubicki is already working that top block, and he's got himself a deep cut. And Dubicki has moved to the backside of his block already. Should be 3 more hits, and that should be done for him. Yeah, Dubicki. There he goes, finally drops it, 108.81 unofficial right now, not a bad time. In fact, that should put him atop the springboard leaderboard. Darga's board, excuse me, there's boards all over the place here, but his second springboard seems to be sagging, so that means that he's got to hold his lower body position, and he's using his entire upper body. He can't use his legs to push off that board because it's just not stable enough, and that is a very tiring situation. You can see here there's that awkward hand position and the awkward body position to cut through on the backside. He's still under 2 minutes so far, but he's switching back to try and get a bit deeper and make those final cuts to get it finished on the backside, but he might not make it under 2 minutes. Oh, he does, just by the hair of his chinny chin chin, a 155.25. So that puts Marcin Darga in 5th place in springboard, and that changes the nature of the overall standings as we head to the hot saw. Interesting turn of events here for Marcin Darga.
Both cuts are good.
So adjusted time for Dubicki, 108.56, and for Darga, 154.81. You could see 1, 2, 3, 4 hits there. There's hit number 5, and that was a good pocket for Michal Dubicki. Darga really struggled with that top board. You could see the angle dripping below the 90-degree mark, and that's something that you kind of don't want to, because it takes away your confidence on the board up top. It takes away your ability to use the power of your legs, which is so important to maintain your stamina up there, because if you're only using your arms, you get that muscle and burn and that pump in your arms, and it doesn't happen anymore. So yeah, an unfortunate springboard for Marcin Darga, but a good one for Michal Dubicki. Let's take a look at the ranking in springboard and how that affects the overall.
But
no, we're not going to do that.
Yeah, we can go for an interview
first.
And of course, that's priority number 1 for us. Pierre, Christoph, over to you guys.
Kamil Dubicki, czyli najmłodszy polski profesjonalny timbersportowiec. Kamilu, zajmujesz się timbersportem w sposób profesjonalny od 2 lat?
No to można powiedzieć, że można powiedzieć, że 2 lata w sumie się z tym zajmuję. No, brat mnie do tego, że tak powiem, dał mi smykałkę i tak postanowiłem iść jego tropem. No, nawet mi się udało dzisiaj go prześcignąć, więc jest jakiś sukces, super sukces.
No właśnie zwróciliśmy uwagę, że w pierwszej konkurencji underhand chop uzyskałeś najlepszy wynik podczas dzisiejszych zawodów, za co bardzo Tobie gratulujemy. Jakie masz plany na przyszłość? Jakie masz plany względem timbersportu na najbliższy czas?
Na pewno jeszcze więcej ćwiczyć i jeszcze więcej rąbać, więcej się przygotować motorycznie i siłowo i w to będę szedł, bo to mi na razie dużo dało, więc myślę, że tylko będzie lepiej.
Super, bardzo dziękuję.
Dzięki.
Kamil Dubicki. So he's the youngest professional timbersport athlete. As we saw, he's doing very well during underhead. He achieved the best result today. He's doing it for 2 years, so that's amazing. Hopefully, he will be sometime better than his older brother Michał Dubicki. So now back to Munich.
I'm pretty sure that is the big goal, of course. But
2 years.
How impressive
2
is that?
years. I mean, that is mega impressive. 2 years going through the rookie. I mean, I'm just shocked by that. That's amazing. Great job, Kamil Dubicki.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's fantastic being in there 2 years.
And he made it to the hot saw.
Yeah. He's in the hot saw competition.
Great.
That's just fantastic. So you got to know there's a little bit of brotherly love and education going on there as well, which is just amazing. And now we're going to get to see the hot saw coming up with 6 athletes going from this round into the final round of competition. But before that, I think we're going to get a look back at some of the highlights from
hopefully, yeah, let's
the
get some
springboard,
highlights
because there was some good stuff going on there.
Okay, I just heard the highlights are going to be late, so we're going to take a look at the top 6 and a commercial. I really like that saw, by the way. That's my kind of size.
My size as well.
The top 6, they're very close together. 60 points for Michał Dubicki up on top, but then 48, 46, 44, 42, 42. So we're very, very close together. And of course, 18 points for the winner, 15 points for the second, and so on. So many, many points to collect in the hot saw.
This is the one and only discipline where the athletes are alone on stage.
Yeah, probably the most important event, but also the most frustrating.
These saws are so incredibly powerful and dangerous.
Usually the hot saw is the slider.
Timber.
Hot saw, hot saw. Like I can't describe to you when we're out there under pressure.
Saw starts well, first disc looks solid, cut is good.
You know, you're always ending the competition on a hot saw, so you know where you're going to be at when you finish. So you're either at a real big high or just is what it is.
Nice clean cuts, easy, relaxed.
Der Hot Saw ist für mich die geilste Disziplin der Welt.
5, 6, 8, Robert after, 3 on the deck.
Hot saw is a love-hate for me. I honestly don't get that much enjoyment out of it. I'm not a motorhead. I swallow my pills and eat it.
Once the competition comes, anything can happen. Oh no, a false start by Sterling Hart. What a disaster.
Yeah, it was a disappointment for me. Happens though. It's part of competing.
I saw there's 3 good discs there, but then let that nose come right up underneath the crossover line.
Unfortunately, a disqualification.
It all relies on the hot saw.
Oh no.
Irgendwie soll es einfach nicht sein. Und dann springt die Hot Saw an, wieder mal.
Oh man, that is a bummer for Robert Ebner.
What are you taking away from this event?
Oh, probably last place. I don't know, headache. Yeah, shit hot saw. What else do you want?
If you have bad luck or if you did wrong, it's part, just your experience.
Oh my goodness. what an absolute disaster. The chain came off.
I was not disappointed because everybody see that I can be with the guys in front.
It's a bit of a disaster, so it was just operator error, and I didn't perform as well as I would have liked to.
Nice safe cut. Oh no! Oh no!
You're never prepared for that situation, but luckily I started and I got 3 wheels and now I'm the world champion.
Yeah, it's the make or break event, you know.
I think you love it and you hate it.
Das ist eigentlich immer ein geiles Ding. Ich schneide immer sehr sicher.
Weltrekord wollte ich schneiden, das war immer mein Ziel schon seit Jahren. Und das jetzt hier bei der DM zu machen, natürlich so grandios, kann man eigentlich gar nicht besser schreiben, das Buch, und bin natürlich super glücklich.
Try to make 3 good cuts and no disqualification.
The hot saw is where it's all won, so that's the best event.
There is so much drama in this discipline, and all you need to know about the tool.
These custom, handmade race-tuned machines are built for maximum power and precision and to cut the wood as fast as possible in a competition. They are built with a 60 to 80 horsepower single-cylinder 2-stroke engine, often taken from a snowmobile or high-powered motorbike. The hot saw can weigh up to 30 kilograms and its chain rotates at over 250 kilometers an hour. The cost of a competition hot saw used in STIHL TIMBERSPORTS is upward of 6,000 euros. Hot saw. For the hot saw, power saws are called into action and the athletes have a space of 15 centimeters to cut 3 complete discs off a 46 centimeter thick wooden block. Jumping the start or cutting over the line will result in a disqualification.
So here is the starting order for this final competition. This is round 3. This is the hot saw. And in heat number 1, we'll see Arkadiusz Drozdek take on Kamil Dubicki. In heat 2, we're going to see Marcin Dubicki against Marcin Darga. And in heat number 3, the competition will be Christian Kaczmarek against Michal Dubicki. Let's get it on.
Can you imagine that? 3 Dubickis and
50%.
they got a 50% chance of all 3 of them making it onto the podium.
Oh wow! Oh wow!
Let's see. Arkadiusz Drozdek just sneaking into this hot saw final, by the way, in 6th place, going up against Kamil Dubicki, who managed to get there in 5th place, just ahead of the Polish legend. So let's see. Normally you're seeing the guys with the hot saw on stage alone, but they've decided to go for head-to-head hot saw competition.
And I love that.
So
I love that.
I really like that too, because it adds that extra element of pressure for you, knowing that there's another guy on stage with his hot saw going to try and beat you and the time. So
and now listen carefully.
No.
And every saw looks different, doesn't it?
Oh. Fantastic tools, those things. So finicky though. One wrong move, one small mistake on the pull start, one fuel issue. Anything can happen. That's why they call it the make or break discipline. It's a love-hate for so many of these guys.
30.
So 30 more seconds, last minute preparations. Got to wrap that cord, make sure that the safety line is attached to that cord. And you could see 2 different types of saw blades, or the arms where the actual chain runs around. Kamil Dubicki has a fat midsection, whereas Arkadiusz Drozdek going for the harvester blade, which is long and straight. The fat midsection tends to have a little bit more tension on the blade, so you're less likely to lose the blade off of or this chain off the blade. So let's see how we do here.
1, go!
Bit of a chunky start by both of these guys. Kamil Dubicki looking like he's got a good 3 cookies. He had to reset for that bottom cut there. Oh, what's happened with Arkadiusz Drozdek? He is, I don't know what's going on there. The chain stalled or something, and the time's still running away on him as he wants to get 3 on the deck at the very minimum, and he has to make sure. Something's up with that saw of his. He's not got a really clean run at all. He'd probably have more luck. It sounds like the engine is bogging on him. He'd probably have more luck just pushing the saw back and forth like the single buck. That is just unfortunate. But he's going to take time here to rewrap and restart that saw.
And tell you what, Troy, if the time is going to be officially corrected for Kamil Dubicki, we might see another personal best, meaning that in every single of our disciplines he would have gotten the personal best at this competition. And yeah, full respect to the man.
Absolutely. So final checks by our officials on stage. Arkadiusz Drozdek, obviously over time there, that's a big problem, because he's going to have no points for that particular discipline. Curious to know what happened there, because it sounded like the saw was bogging down when he tried to apply the gas. It just wasn't going.
Stand 2. Okay. Stand 1. DQ. Technical problem.
Okay, time limit, it's exceeded officially. Technical problem was the call. And look at that, you called it a personal best by Kamil Dubicki with a 9:06. And I have to say, that is an absolutely respectable time for a young athlete with those big saws. I mean, they are heavy.
And to tell you the truth, I have not seen an athlete get a personal best in every single discipline in one competition.
It's unheard of. It's, I mean, one or two, but just one personal best after the other. And he had to adjust that saw numerous times. You see there, he's got a broken cookie. So that means he had to go back and actually recut a fourth cookie in order to have a fair cut. So Kamil Dubicki, 9:06. And if we look at the overall until now, Kamil Dubicki has 60 points, but he's tied right now with Michal Dubicki. Not the worst thing for his brother, huh?
Yeah,
so let's see if the other guys, let's see if the other guys can have a good time as well.
Oh, I just love round 3. There's so much excitement.
Oh, it's crazy. Oh, can you imagine a hot saw in the Champions Trophy discipline format? Whoa, that would be some craziness right there.
Need to talk to STIHL about that.
So again, the fantastic cleanup crew doing a great job to get that stage prepared for the next heat, which will have Marcin Dubicki and Marcin Darga going up against each other head to head. I mentioned at the stock saw early on in the competition in the first round that it's not about having power or anything like that. There's nothing really needed other than just aiming that saw and making sure you have the correct amount of pressure on the chain as you pass through the wood. However, when we're looking at the hot saw, you need to have a little bit of power in order to lift that thing. I mean, we had one here in studio at the beginning of the season when we did the season review from 2020 from Danny Martin, and that thing is heavy. And I can't even imagine when it's running and all of that machinery is shaking around in there. Crazy.
Wild beast.
Hot saw, heat number 2. Marcin Dubicki against Marcin Darga. So what these guys will do is they'll turn on those saws. You can see that fat blade there. The chain has less of an arc, believe it or not, around the tip of that blade with that fat, or around the tip of the blade with that fatter blade than with the straight blade, which you will see with Marcin Darga's saw. There you see that's the more straight blade.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen.
We have something going on here.
Before, stand 2. We check the video, DQ, incomplete disc.
Oh, that is unfortunate. Let's take a look back.
That's what he saw. That's when he said he would have had to go for another cookie.
Yeah, and I actually thought that he made a fourth cut, but he did not do that. There you go. He came up underneath on the upstroke for cut number 2 and didn't have a complete cookie. So that is an unfortunate situation for Kamil Dubicki, because he, along with Arkadiusz Drozdek, has a DQ. So that personal best no longer counts, unfortunately, and that means that Kamil Dubicki's chances of winning this competition have just evaporated, just like the bottom end of that cookie that wasn't complete.
Oh, look at the smoke going.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
I can smell it here. It's awesome.
It feels like it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I think I can feel the vibrations. And of course, safety precautions. You don't want that chain to fly around. No.
No, you do not. I mean, these guys have to wear special protective pants. They have to have special protective shoes, as well as ear protection and eye protection. So, I mean, there's no messing around with the STIHL TIMBERSPORTS here. There's a lot of rules and regulations, especially with this particular saw is in play, because of the fact that that chain is moving at upwards of 250 kilometers an hour. If it comes off and flies away from the saw, then there can be real trouble. So that's why those Plexon shields are there as well.
Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
All right, both engines start cleanly, and it looks like Dubicki has the advantage on that first couple of cookies. Oh boy, look how close these two guys are. 9.47 and 9.52. Both of them nailing personal bests as well. I really feel bad for Kamil Dubicki, because he was so good. It was just one small mistake there. But Marcin Darga, and Marcin Dubicki, both with great times. Personal bests, final checks here, and we're going to wait and see if everything is, in fact, okay. Crossed fingers here.
Ladies and gentlemen, stand 1, DQ, cut the line. Stand 2, okay.
All right, so Marcin Dubicki with a DQ, unfortunately, and Marcin Darga, he is clean so far. The only guy in the competition with a clean cut is Marcin Darga at 9.37. Now, interestingly enough, that takes away all of the guys that were, with the exception of Christian Kaczmarek and Michał Dubicki, that takes all the other guys out of the mix of possibly getting into and taking the win away from Marcin Darga. So at the moment, Marcin Darga is the guy who is leading this competition as we take a look back at his cuts, and they all looked pretty good. Thin to win, and he did actually cut those quite thin, except for the last one, stayed within that 10-centimeter line. Or 15 centimeter, I believe, in this case. So there you go. Incomplete cookie, time limit exceeded, and cut over the line. DQs for...
Hardly any DQs until this last competition, and now things are going wild again. That's the hot saw.
It's getting wild. It's always the hot saw. It's always the hot saw.
The top two after round 2 are coming up now.
So let's set up a scenario here, Marcus.
Okay, I'm ready.
So let's look at the scenario. Marcin Darga has a clean cut at 9.37. At the moment, with his 18 points, not forgetting that we have one more heat to go, at the moment with his 18 points, he is in the lead with a total of 64 points. Michał Dubicki and Christian Kaczmarek are the next heat. Now, if either one of these guys is DQ'd, it's Marcin Darga's day. But if Christian Kaczmarek is faster than Michał Dubicki, that means Michał Dubicki will have third place today, and for that, should win the overall competition. So the pressure is on, and my math may be way off base here. But he basically just has to cut clean in this next heat.
Dubicki.
Yep. And then he'll win it. But as we've seen today, a lot of stuff is going on. So it's anybody's guess what's going to happen. And for Dubicki,
I'm just going to watch.
Yeah, I mean, but
I'm too excited.
You have to imagine crawling into Dubicki's mind right now. He knows this. How is he going to take that pressure on? Is it going to make more pressure for him, or is he going to say, "Hey, I just have to have 3 clean cuts. This is totally. I don't care. Yeah.
And look at their personal bests; they are very close together.
Very, very close together. So I mean, this is going to be an adrenaline battle between these two monumental competitors who have gone up against each other before, but also it's going to be about a little bit of tactical here. Does Dubicki say, okay, Kaczmarek, you can have this one. I'm just going to get the points and win this competition? Or does he say, I'm going to fight to the very end? I'm going to guess with fight.
Yeah.
Okay, gentlemen.
He's just
warm up yourself.
And this is all about knowing your saw, knowing how much to actually warm it up and how little, how many revs to give it, how hot that engine needs to be in order for it to start clean and cut nicely. All right, so everything is set and lined up. The guys seem pretty satisfied. And if you look closely at the shoes of Christian Kaczmarek, he's got spiked shoes on. You need that grip. It's important here. Here we go.
1, go!
And Dubicki battling all the way through, and he's got 3 good cuts. Oh, my good! Look at that! A national record for Dubicki with a 7.38. Fantastic. And that means if he has 3 good cookies on the ground and fair cuts, which it looks like they are, then he will be maintaining his national champion status.
And that in style.
In style. Absolutely. Wow. 7.23, a national record. Let's wait for the official call here.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, stand 1. Okay. Stand 2, a new national record. Both girls are good.
Oh.
Woohoo! There you go.
Dubicki.
Mikhail Dubicki with a 7.23 after adjustment, the fastest on the day, and that means he has taken the national championship, defended it in, as you say, in style. And we're going to take a look back at the slow-mo here. And like I said, you know, he is a competitor. He is not going to go for it slow at all. Long time by Kaczmarek to set up, and that was a fat old cookie right there. Second one was thin to win, and then the third one was logged in nicely. So 3 good cuts by Kaczmarek, but Dubicki, wow. Quick lineup, and he got it working.
Machine.
He was right on point with these cuts. Absolutely fantastic. That saw was working perfectly. The good wood was there for him. And a 7.38 adjusted now to a 7.23. And 2 good cuts, 3 cookies on the floor for both of these guys. So let's take a look at the hot saw rankings then. Mikhail Dubicki with a national record at 7.23. Kaczmarek with a 9.21 and a personal best for Marcin Darga. Look at the final results. What's happened here, though? Darga drops down to 3rd place in the overall standings. Kaczmarek in 2nd, and Mikhail Dubicki defends his national title.
That's exactly how you want to win a competition. Congrats to Mikhail Dubicki. He really finished that off in style with a national record. You are the reigning national Polish champ, and you have been last year, and you won it again. He was just great.
Spectacular run from Mikhail Dubicki. I mean, all the Dubicki boys really performed well today. I feel heartbroken for Kamil Dubicki. He had his personal best in the hot saw, and unfortunately, it was that little cutout on that on that second cookie that just caused him problems. Had he gone back and cut the 4th cookie like I thought that he did, which he didn't do, it might have been a different story. He would have been at least in the rankings, but unfortunately, in this situation, it didn't work out for him. But again, this is that learning process. And, you know, he and his brothers will sit down, they'll talk about the whole situation, they'll watch video guaranteed, and they'll come back to it and say, okay, here's how we can improve this situation. And you know these guys are going to be working together to make sure that the Dubicki name is absolutely dominating in timber sports in Poland in the future.
Absolutely. He only missed out. He was missing 16 points to be in third position. So like you said, talking to your brothers, you might get the chance of, you know, going into the details, how he can, you know, improve and do better next time. Hashtag STIHL TimberSports. If you want to send us some remarks, if you want to, I don't know, send us some pictures, for instance.
Get involved with the conversation.
Yeah,
come on.
Troy posted a picture of him doing some yoga last time. I really like that. I really like that one. So anything, feel free. You know, we're happy to.
Yoga for fat kids. It's all the rage.
Oh yeah, this man can do stuff you wouldn't believe. But that's what's great to see also in STIHL TimberSports. Like the big muscular guys, you know, being very flexible, getting up on that springboard, and you know, the smaller guys with not so much power, you would believe, you know, chopping down the trees. So
these boys are fit. Yeah, you wouldn't believe it, but they are very fit. And I have to say, I am absolutely impressed with the Polish, the whole crew of Polish athletes. I mean, they are all in tip-top shape, absolutely following the lead of Arkadia Strostek, who unfortunately had a little bit of bad luck today in the hot saw, but it is what it is. That's the nature of the beast.
So many personal bests. And also the crew in Poland, so amazing job. And here is the final result. In position 10, we have Krzysztof Majewski. Number 9, Tomasz Kowal. 8, Marcin Jusowski. Number 7, Artur Krupinski. In 6, Arkadiusz Drozdek. Number 5, Kamil Dubicki. And in 4th place, Marcin Dubicki. And of course, the top 3, ladies and gents, give it up for Marcin Darga, who gets bronze. Silver goes to Christian Kaczmarek. And the new and old Polish champion is Michał Dubicki. Wow. Come on, everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, looks like we might have an interview coming up. Or no, that's going to be the awards ceremony first. Yeah, we're going to get to the awards ceremony first.
Let's find out if the prize-giving ceremony is already commencing. Hopefully, Pia can hear me right now. Yes, I can already see her. Pia, big wave. What a fantastic competition. It was your first time. How was it?
I think it was really amazing. I've enjoyed it very much, and I'm going to keep going with the official ceremony of the Polish Pro Championship 2021. I'm excited, but I'll cut it short. The 3rd place with points 58 is Marcin Darga. You'll see him right behind me. Der 2. Platz mit the 2nd place with 63 points is Christian Kaczmarek.
Der macht seine VIP. Jetzt raus. Der hat jetzt das übernommen, da kommen die meine.
Du wolltest drauf.
Ja. Das ist doch der dritte.
Er ruft Rosek. Das stimmt nicht.
Well, there are some issues, but we won't let us stop. We're still excited about the points, and it stays excited. Now, I want to announce the second place again, Christian Kaczmarek, with amazing points of 63. He's the second place.
Christian, proszę Państwa, poprosimy w imieniu pana ministra Kamińskiego nagrodę wręcza pan naczelnik Łukasz Ostrowski.
Getting not only one trophy, but two. As you can see, the excitement is real. Everyone gets two trophies, and it's unreal. It's amazing. Now the first place with an amazing point of 78, so-called the X Machine. We all know him, Mikael Dubicki. Thanks for joining. I hopefully we see each other at the next competition, and I'll hand straight over to my colleague Christoph for the winners interview.
Thank you, Pia. Michale, stary, nowy mistrz Polski. Już po raz trzeci z rzędu jesteś zawodnikiem numer 1 wśród polskich timbersportowców. Wspaniałe. Powiedz mi, jakie to uczucie?
Oj, do końca nie wiedziałem, że zostanę tutaj mistrzem. Była duża niepewność, no ale udało się. Hocą się udał. Najważniejsza konkurencja, najtrudniejsza, bo bardzo loteryjna, ale udało się. No, jestem przeszczęśliwy. No, co mogę powiedzieć? Miesiące przygotowań, któryś rok z rzędu jestem mistrzem Polski. Cóż chcieć, no, jest super.
No właśnie, Michale, ponieważ pierwsza konkurencja, underhand, rozmawialiśmy tuż po niej, sprawiała pewne trudności. Niemniej widać, że liczy się to, jak się kończy całe zawody i kończy się zwycięstwem. Także bardzo Tobie dziękuję. Czy chciałbyś coś jeszcze dodać?
No przede wszystkim chciałbym pozdrowić wszystkich kibiców, tych, którzy tutaj mamy na hali, no i oczywiście tych poza ekranami laptopów, komputerów, telewizorów, wszystkich pozdrawiam.
Michale, dziękuję bardzo.
Dziękuję bardzo.
Michał Dubicki. So for the third time, the best Polish competitor. He's a kind guy. He said that he was working a lot and he was achieved his dream, and he will do his best to be always better. So hopefully we'll see him in Europe and in the world. Now back to Munich.
What a night in Poznan. Thanks very much, Pia. Thanks very much, Christoph and Troy. This man is a legend already.
Yeah, absolutely. Living legend. He's getting himself up there among some of the absolute best in the world in the timber sports.
Yeah,
so,
hopefully see him at the World Championship.
Yeah, I hope so too. I mean, after his performance here, I can't imagine they wouldn't want to have him representing Poland. Time will tell, but I'm pretty sure we're going to see Michał Dubicki in the mix there again as well. So, yeah, great job by all the top three guys. In fact, everybody that competed there today. I mean, we had 700 personal bests. It was just nuts. So, just a fantastic day in Poland. Great sport.
Very entertaining.
And we can see... we see a big talent in Kamil Dubicki. So the Dubicki boys are going to be on fire for a while, I think.
And of course, this was not the only Steel Timber Sports competition of the summer. Let's take a short and final look at the schedule for the Steel Timber Sports Summer 2021. Let's not forget, we've got some more coming up in autumn, but let's stick to these competitions for now. You can see them all live on the platforms that you have been watching today. And Troy, it's been a pleasure working with you again today, and hopefully a lot more to come. And maybe, just maybe, with a live crowd.
Oh, a live crowd.
How
that
good
would be so
that
awesome.
be?
Who's kidding? That would be great. I mean, I can't wait to get back to live. The energy, the excitement, the fans. I mean, you've never seen more loyal fans to timber sports. And I mean, it's crazy. It's absolutely fantastic. The fan base for timber sports, it's a surprise every time.
And with that vision, we're going to leave you with the highlights of the day. Hopefully see you soon. Troy and Marcus say bye-bye.